#1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
All right, folks, welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Number to join us on the program today, 888-250-2091. So what exactly is a Schrock Innovations Computer Company? Great question. Well, it has something to do with computers, as the name might kind of lend you to believe. But basically, if it touches a computer, we handle it over at Schrock. So data recovery, for example, our data recovery lab has the most equipment of any recovery lab in the Midwest. In fact, one of our competitors in Altoona, Iowa, wanted to sell us it wasn't Altoona. Sorry, I was in Altoona 2 days ago. It was in Ankeny, Iowa. Wanted to sell us a bunch of data recovery equipment. And we said, you know what, we could probably use a little bit more equipment. You know, we could use a couple more of this or a little more of that kind of thing. So we we called him back, and he wanted basically full retail value. Like, he's like, supply chain, you know, you can't get this stuff right now. And we're like, yeah, we're not going to pay you, full retail value for something that we can literally buy ourselves still. So anyway, we we kind of passed on that one. But I'll tell you, it's crazy. But the Data Recovery Lab is always busy over at Schrock Innovations. You want to stay out of there if you can help it. I mean, I love to see you, don't get me wrong, but data recovery is never a fun place to be. Also, of course, we do computer repair, we do website design and development, we do consumer services as well as corporate services. So basically, if it has anything to do with a computer, whether it's a new computer, like a new laptop or a new desktop, funny story, I think we covered this in the Aftershock last week, but we were wondering why we're selling so many computers recently. And we're selling a lot of weird things and like things we normally sell, but not at the speed or at the quantity that we sell. Printers, for example. You know, how often do you buy a new printer, right? Routers, how often do you buy a new router? But literally, like routers, I'm ordering them almost every other day. I can hardly keep them in stock. Printers, yeah, I've got one in each service center right now. And each service center is supposed to have 2, and Papillion is supposed to have 3. So that tells you kind of the normal demand that we expect. And I've got 1 in every service center right now because we just literally can't keep up with it. So long story short, guys, the supply chain is crazy out there, but that is not stopping the holiday special. The holiday special laptop, we can still get those in pretty good quantity. We still have those coming in, and we continue to deliver those. Great feedback on the holiday special laptop. The holiday special desktop, as you might imagine, a desktop, when we buy a laptop, we're buying a complete unibody, and then we're taking it apart and changing out some parts inside of it. So it's a much smaller supply chain footprint for us than a desktop where we're ordering in 20 different components and assembling them together into a computer. The desktop, we're having some problems. We are officially in back order status on those, and we're gonna build more, so we're still taking orders for them. I've got 60 cases on order from 3 different vendors right now, 65 cases from 3 different vendors. I've had 2 vendors cancel orders of 60 cases on me because they were selling them on their website apparently, and then they just didn't have them. Oops. And another guy said that, well, we don't have them in the U.S. warehouse, but we have them in the Australian warehouse. Would you be interested in those? And I said, yes. What's the shipping cost? Because even if the shipping cost was 10 or 20 bucks a unit, which is insane, but if that was the shipping cost, it's better than 0, right? It's better than having none. So what's the shipping cost? He still hasn't gotten back to me on it because he's probably figuring out that international shipping is kind of nuts right now, and he's going to have to fly them on a plane because if he puts them on a boat, we won't get them until, next Christmas probably. So anyway, we're still doing orders. The holiday special desktop and laptop this year are the most powerful computers that Schrock has ever built. If you're unfamiliar with what these things are, check out our website at SchrockInnovations.com. Every year around the holiday season, we put together the biggest, baddest, most powerful desktop and laptop that we can put together, and we call that the holiday special. The holiday special is sold at cost. What that means is that when you total up all the cost of the parts and all the cost of everything that goes into the computer, we are selling them for what it costs us to make them. So obviously, we put a limit on how many we sell because we can't, you can't sell things that cost forever. And we're one of the few places in town, guys, that has not, well, to our knowledge, we're the only place in town that has not raised the prices of our computers and other components. To give you an idea, normally we're a little bit more expensive to shop at for accessories and other components than, say Walmart. But right now, our printers are selling for the exact same price at Walmart as they're selling in our shop. And we didn't raise our price. Walmart raised theirs. Walmart, everyday low prices, and we're selling things. Why are we selling things for everyday low prices? This is ridiculous. When did this happen? But I mean, it's one of those things. We're not a low cost leader, right? We're a high service provider. And if you try to provide high levels of service at a low cost price point, you eventually go out of business. People have tried it for years. That's why you can never reach anybody at Amazon. Try to call somebody at Amazon. You can chat with a guy in India, but you can't call Jeff and his friends. So I mean, it's one of those things where you're either a high cost leader a low cost leader or a high service provider, and people expect to pay more for high service than they do for low cost, obviously. And so we're not used to being in a place where customers are coming in the front door because our computers are $50 cheaper than the cheapest computer at Best Buy. And they're like, I don't really care about the features or the specs. I'm not interested in that holiday thing. I just want that $600 one right there from my grandma. And you're like, okay. We've sold more Boundlesses and Resolutes in the last month than I think we've sold in the last 6 months. And it's because the price of everything is going up. At some point, if this continues at a 10% month-over-month increase, which is what we're seeing on the wholesale side, at some point, things have to change. You might have noticed, we just got our holiday special catalogs in about a week and a half ago, but we don't have regular catalogs for the other computers. Why don't we have regular catalogs for the other computers? It's because we don't know what the price is going to be in 2022. And we're going to wait probably one more month before we commit and print those catalogs out in case we have to raise those prices. We don't want to have to do that, guys. Trust me, we really, really don't. Because when we sell computers, the objective for us is not to make money on the computer. That's why it's so easy for us to do a holiday special with at cost. We're not interested in making a ton of money on a customer in the initial purchase or in any initial interaction, any interaction we really have. We're not looking to score that big hit. Okay, call us back next time you need to spend some money, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. No, I mean, that's not what we do. We're trying to build a relationship. And in so doing, if you call us with a computer problem in any of the service centers, just like you can call here on the program, here on the program, we give away $25 if you call. We don't do that in the service centers. But if you give us a call here on the program, 888-250-2091, ask a question, make a comment, we'll put you in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. If you call our service centers and you're not a customer, we don't know you from Adam, and you have a computer problem that we can solve in 2 minutes or less, we're going to solve it for you. Just call us back when you have a real problem next time. This is easy. Here you go. We have guys that come in that are trying to build their own computers, and they realize they're missing a teeny tiny little screw to hold the hard drive down. And we get calls all the time. Do you have any NVMe screws? And we're like, yeah, we got some here. How much for one? I mean, we're talking, guys, these screws, imagine I don't know, the pins that you put in bulletin boards? Like the teachers would use with the bigger heads on them, not the little flat ones, but the big ball heads. The screw is about the size of that ball head. And everyone else in town wants $20 for a screw. We're like, just come get the screw, man. We're not going to charge you $20 for a screw. That's stupid. Now, we pay $6 for a pack of 5, so they cost us money. But again, it's about building a relationship. I mean, look at how much money we have to spend on advertising to get one customer to walk in the door, but I can get you to walk in the door for the price of a screw? Done. That works out. So that's kind of our philosophy at Schrock. That's how we operate. That's how we build relationships so that way, number one, there's a level of trust. We're showing you that we know what we're doing. We're showing you that we're casually competent. We're not wearing badges. We're not, wearing lanyards with name tags and barcodes and everything else. That's not what we do. We're just casual competence. We're the friendly people that you can walk in the door and ask a question that you might think is silly. But we hear the same questions every day, call after call after call. They're not silly. They're the same questions everybody has. Ask them. That's what we say on the radio show. There's no such thing as a silly question. So call in. All right, so for those of you who do use Facebook, we are broadcasting live right now, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. Those of you who watch the broadcast regularly may notice that things look a little different this week. Little inside baseball. You know what happened to me this morning? A funny thing happened on the way into the office this morning. I set my computer down here on the table. I plugged it in. I hit the power button, and all I'm getting is a blinking cursor at the BIOS. What that means is the computer never booted to Windows. It will not boot. Literally, my computer's blinking at me right now. It's completely dead. How many times I was telling Raj before the start of the show, how many times have I said, yeah, this thing's been working hard for me. It's not Windows 11 compatible, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's doing its thing. It's here to do a radio show. It's all I really use it for. So, it's not, replaced the battery in it, did a little work on it, upgraded the hard drive a little bit. Not a bad computer. It's just getting old. Driving in this morning, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, maybe it is time. Maybe once the holiday special is done, if I can get enough to fill every customer's order, maybe I'll buy one more for myself and then use that for it seems like a waste to use a holiday special for the radio show because it's so OP for that. I mean, it's crazy overpowered. 36 gigs of RAM to run a radio show, i7 10th generation processor to run a radio show. I mean, 500 gig hard drive to run a radio show, it doesn't make sense, right? But on the other hand, you can go the other side and say, well, I wouldn't do it on a Resolute for sure. That's our low-end laptop because that's what's intended for grandma to check her emails on. Can't really do everything that needs to be done. So you'll notice that we're streaming from my cell phone this week. So the backdrop is gone. Everything is reversed and backwards. And the other thing is when people call in, people on Facebook, you may not be able to hear the calls. I'll try to get a set of headphones and turn it up and get it stationed next to the phones, and that seems to work pretty well in the past. But if you did want to watch the show, you can do so at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. Has anybody else seen this new star thing on Facebook? You can send people stars on Facebook and you'll get money. You guys do not have to send me any stars. Seriously, that's not why we're here. Yeah. I mean, don't waste your money on sending people stars on Facebook. But you can tell me, you can put a star emoji in the comments, and I'll know that you're thinking of me, and I appreciate that. There's no need to spend money on that. Save your money for computer repairs, or I don't need any stars for the Thor's New Computer Fund, anything like that. We're good to go. We're good to go there. 888-250-2091. Now, last week on the show, we basically talked a lot about the holiday special. We spent a lot of time going over specs and details and things like that. If you're interested in the holiday special and you want that information and you want it, broadcast verbally, I would definitely recommend you go to SchrockInnovations.com and give those shows a listen. We'll mention some of that stuff throughout the program, kind of like I've done so far today, but we're not going to spend entire segments covering it today. So that was the majority of the show last week. I want to remind everybody who has Windows 10 still that this month Microsoft will be releasing the 2.1H2 update. It has not been released yet. You have not missed it. It is still coming. It is coming this month. Last Tuesday, this Tuesday that just went by, was Patch Tuesday. So if your computer has not rebooted yet, you should reboot it. But basically, now that Patch Tuesday is out of the way, I think they're going to give it a week to get everybody to reboot, and then next week is probably going to be when that lands. But we will let you know. There are still a few copies of Safe Upgrade left on the website at SchrockInnovations.com. Safe Upgrade's a product that we make because we got tired of customers. Well, customers got tired of their computers blowing up every time they get one of these updates. And we got tired of customers who were upset with Microsoft coming in and yelling at us because, well, you can't yell at Microsoft. Try calling someone at Microsoft. You can yell at the guy in India. You just don't feel better afterward. You feel like you just wasted everybody's time, So customers would come in, and the first time around, they're like, oh, this is a bummer. The second time it happens to them, they're like, I can't believe this happened to me twice. The third time, they're like, this is ridiculous because it hits the same people every time. About 80% of the time, computers install these updates perfectly fine, and there's no issues. 20% of the time, you end up on one of our computer repair benches getting some work done, and the free update ends up costing you 2 hours of labor or $240. So to try to create kind of a safety net for this, we created a product called Safe Upgrade. Safe Upgrade is a software product that we make at Schrock that installs the 2.1H2 update the exact same way that we would do it in the service center on the bench, the same way a technician would do it. Okay, not the way Windows Update does it, where it only downloads the little pieces it thinks you need. We download the entire update to you, and then we install the entire update after we check the hard drive, after we check for viruses and malware, after we go through all the steps of the process to make sure your computer has a good hardware and software base, which is what usually trips people up. So Safe Upgrade is a great product to do that. It's like $55 for the update. It's something I would strongly recommend you take a look at, especially with that update coming out. Now, if you have Windows 11, you do not need this update. If you have Windows 11, you do not need the update, and you're good to go. 888-250-2091. Coming up on the program today, the holiday specials continue to arrive. We're going to talk about that throughout the program. Also, do you have a Costco membership? There's a report that many Costco customers are seeing unauthorized charges on their Costco credit cards. We're going to tell you what's going on there and what you need to look out for. Also, it seems like anytime you turn on the news, if you're into politics, there's always some horrible story going on surrounding, there's terrible inflation or, Afghanistan pullout. There's always some like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that story happening. Well, did you know that on Thursday, President Biden signed a bill? And this one is actually pretty good. And we're going to tell you exactly what. It's amazing. Republicans and Democrats came together, agreed on something, and passed a bill through the House and the Senate, and the president signed it. But I had to read about it on ZDNet. Nobody covered this. I did a Google search, I duck search because I don't really Google anymore. I did a duck search for it. And there was, of course, all the congressional links to the bill where you could read the bill. And then there was ZDNet. And then there was some industry insider link. Nobody's reporting on this. And it's actually a good news story where everybody got along and figured out a problem and let's solve the problem. So we're going to tell you what the Secure Equipment Act does that was signed into law on Thursday. Also, Apple, once again, with iPhone 13, tried to put all cell phone repair shops out of business. Now, we don't really fix cell phones, so we don't have a dog in this fight. This is the reason we don't fix cell phones, because Apple is smart, and Apple will eventually do this, and then these cell phone repair stores will be out of business. So that's why we don't mess with it. But Apple tried to kill them with the iPhone 13. We're going to tell you what Apple did. Same thing they did with the iPhone 12, but now they're walking it back. So pretty amazing stuff there. 888-250-2091. Dale, stay on the line. Your call is coming up next on Compute This. Teleport technicians. That'd be awesome. Once we looked into getting a what do they call those things? A quadricopter. They'd used them in James Bond.
Okay.
It's like there's a big fan on the back.
Oh yeah.
And then the blades spin. Above you would pushes forward and makes the blades spin and creates lift. Then you can land them in like a 6-foot spot. We're like, that'd be awesome. People would have us come fix their computer just to see us land in their driveway.
Yeah. That's funny.
That was the same year that Best Buy put parachuting Volkswagen Beetles on. And we're like, now we're copycat if we land in the driveway. Like Best Buy did that already.
Damn them.
So yeah, well, and the cool thing about broadcasting on the phone is you guys get to hear everything that happens during the commercial break now. So you can hear all the good stuff that happens while the commercials are going, and I'm gesturing, and you never could hear it before. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Mitch. Good morning, Mary. Roger, good to have you with me. Video stream is stuttering a little.
Yeah,
it's a cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best, guys. We're definitely on backup land here, for sure. We're on Wi-Fi instead of wired. We're on a cell phone instead of a computer. And I don't even have a background because it was up and it was green. And I'm like, well, this is stupid. I can't green screen on the phone. Maybe I can. I just didn't know how to do it, and I had 4 minutes to figure it out. All right. Ronald, everything's written backwards because we're using the front-facing camera on my cell phone today. Yeah, it is. This is how it's looked for years before we had the backdrop, right?
We're going to have drawing at the end of the hour.
Okay. Randy, good morning. Coffee's going. All right. Catherine, good morning. I don't have a halo. Do I usually have a halo? For real? I mean, it's not an intentional thing.
Where are you calling?
The video is reverse, Mitch, because that's what Facebook does when you use the front-facing camera on your phone. Everything is always backwards. You may not notice it unless there's text behind you, but then it's backwards. I was going to try to take the banner down and turn it around, but it didn't work. I didn't really do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair's parted on the wrong side.
There, you're not Tyler 2, I think, aren't you?
Audio is good. Good morning. Facebook video is a little choppy. Thank you, Winston. I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, we're doing our best, guys, to get you the some kind of video content this morning. Had a good aftershock plan too. All right, my computer error messages: reinstall the internet adapter driver. How can I do this if my internet won't work? Last year, the store installed a new drive, memory update, 110 miles per hour. So last year, your store installed a new hard drive. All right, gotta go. Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. The number to join us on the program this morning is 888-250-2091. Now, if you have a Costco membership, we're going to tell you here coming up what you need to look out for on your Costco credit card bill and what's going on there. But first, before we do that, Dale's been really patient. Dale, thanks for hanging on the line there. How can I help you on Compute This today? Yeah.
And I noticed you went to an Intel Core i7 instead of an AMD Ryzen. What's the reason for that?
Cost. It was straight up cost. The Ryzen-based laptops were $150 more expensive than the unibodies with the 10th generation Intel chips. The performance difference between the two chips is nominal. They both pretty much do the same thing. Ryzen is a hair faster, but I didn't think it was $150 faster. And I also thought, you know, even though we're in an inflationary environment, for me to try to pass on a $150 cost increase on the laptop, it just wouldn't. So we sell them at cost. So if it's $150 more expensive, that means instead of $15.99, it'd be what, $18.50. I mean, you're really pushing it for, you know, buying an $1,800 computer in the 21st century. I mean, that's, you know. You can get to $1,800 when you put the warranties and everything on it, but for the base cost of the computer, I didn't think that, especially if a customer said to me, Thor, you know, if it was, imagine your question reversed. Hey, Thor, you could have had the i7 for $150 less, and it does literally like, there's like, on the meter, the graph where they show you the performance, a human eye can't tell the difference in the graph. It's that close. So why didn't you go with the one that was less expensive? Do you hate Intel? And they're like, no, we don't hate Intel at all. Intel makes great chips. In fact, there's some of their new stuff that's coming out in the 7 nanometer range. Can you believe that? 7 nanometers. The fab in Arizona is down to 7 nanometers now. And with what they're going to be putting out, AMD is going to have to do some more silicone work to catch up with that again. So Intel's finally getting their mojo back, and it's kind of like, you know, when AMD kicks you in the teeth and you're like, oh, that hurt, and then Apple kicks you in the teeth, you're like, oh, that hurts, and then now Intel's finally like, okay, let's make some chips, and then there's a chip shortage, and you're like, ah, that hurts. But no, it was primarily a cost and availability thing. We looked at the availability of the computers and the cost of the machines, and we felt that we would have a better chance in the supply chain with an Intel one. But with that said, the two chips perform virtually identically from battery life to performance. So you're not going to notice any difference from a consumer perspective.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like I'm getting a chance to get your laptop.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're very excited about them this year. I mean, it's exciting every year to have the holiday special, but part of this too, and thanks for your call, Dale. Part of this too is my son is 14 years old, right? And so when you get to be that age, you start to ask questions about things in life, right? Like with girls and Santa and things like that, you know? And so, you know, part of the transition, if you will, I'm trying to be very, very careful here. Part of the transition through that is, well, now it's your responsibility to make it special for the little ones behind you, right? And we've got little Lou at home, who's 3, who's being introduced to the concept this year of Santa Claus, and he's kind of like, So the guy comes into my house and gives me presents, and he's like, I don't know, and he's like, does he give me trucks? I'm like, yeah, he can bring you trucks. He's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'll take trucks. So it's kind of, we have a lot of new employees at Schrock this year who have never seen a holiday special before. They've never seen what happens before. So we had the big meeting before this, and we're like, guys, prepare to be hit with a 25% increase in the number of people that walk in the door. And let me put numbers on that for you. If this many people walked in your front door this week, next week it'll be this many people. And they were like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, and expect people to come in the door. And, you know, it's before you're trying to explain the warranty, and you're like, you know, you should do this warranty. You really should do it. On a holiday special, everybody does the warranty. Everybody goes 3 years. And they're like, really? Like, yes. And you're not going to sell a ton of Sophos and Secure Updater with the holiday special. And they're like, why? Like, because people who buy holiday specials are people who have owned our computers for the most part in the past. And they already have subscriptions to transfer. And so they're going to be transferring their subscriptions. It's kind of like, you know, when you have to sell refrigerators for 20 years before people who bought one of your first refrigerators need a new one. It's kind of like that with the holiday special, except ours lasts 10 years. And so now those people that were 10 years out are cycling back through again. They already have Sophos. They already have Secure Updater. They already have all the subscriptions. We're just going to transfer them. So you're going to sell a lot of data transfers. And they're like, oh. And then you think they're prepped, and then it hits them, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So it's fun to watch. It's kind of like watching little kids get introduced to Santa for the first time. 888-250-2091. Before we go to break here, Costco. If you have a Costco membership, you may notice some charges on your card, unauthorized charges. They didn't say where it was happening. Costco is basically alerting their customers individually based on who they think may have been impacted, but they had card skimmers on their gas pumps in some places. So if you use Costco to get gas, you might want to take a look and make sure that there are no unauthorized charges on your Costco membership card. Costco is providing a year of identity theft protection and a $1 million insurance policy for unauthorized purchases on your Costco card. 888-250-2091. When we come back from the break, did you hear about the Secure Equipment Act that President Biden signed on Thursday? We're going to tell you what's in it and what it's intended to do coming up next on Compute This. All right. Centerville, Iowa.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're along Highway 2.
All right, let's jump back into Facebook here. Seem to remember that there was somebody who was saying they were into my store and something wasn't working, and then I'm like, yep, gotta go back to the show. I wasn't running away. I'm coming back to it. All right, so Kelly says you're 110 miles out.
Okay, this is the guy. He sent the Facebook message and he called.
Oh, gotcha. So that's Kelly from Centerville, Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just said 110 miles out. That's
Kelly, you've had your computer home for a year and you haven't turned it on yet? For real? He's like, I'm kind of bored. It's been a year. Let's take this thing out and see if it needs an update. No, you're right. It is difficult if you don't have an internet connection to obviously update your internet drivers. The only way you can really do it is with another computer. You get a flash drive, you go to the other computer, you download the updated drivers, you bring them to the computer, you plug in the flash drive, and you install them. Obviously, that's going to be difficult for a normal consumer person to do. It's because you have to look up the model of the computer, you have to get all the serial number and everything, then you have to go to their support website and get the drivers. And then you put it on a flash drive, and then you move the flash drive over to the computer that needs to have it installed. So if in fact we did not install those for you, I'm truly sorry about that. And I do understand you're 110 miles away. Without internet, though, there's no way to fix it. You need another computer and internet, or you need to bring it back into the service center. So, of course, I'll take your call. So stay on the line here because I think it'll be good for everyone to hear this too. But yeah, definitely stay on the line. All right, Winston. Love my holiday special laptop. So fast, and the lighted keyboard is the best. Aren't those backlit keyboards amazing? It's one of those stupid things. It's like seat heat in your car. We've all had cars that don't have seat heat. And then you get a car that has seat heat, and you're like, how did I live without this? Or a heated steering wheel? What? Although, everything is bigger and badder in the F350 than it is in an F150. So in the F150, the heated steering wheel is, oh, this is nice. In the F350, it's like grabbing the core of a nuclear reactor. So you have to wear gloves and grab your steering wheel, or it gets really hot. It's kind of crazy. Please tell the lovely Kimberly that the catalogs she designed are a home run. I will, Winston. Thank you. Lovely Kimberly will be in the Lincoln Service Center today putting up the Christmas tree. So if you're going into Lincoln, don't give her a hard time. Some curmudgeon always comes in and like, not even Thanksgiving yet. And she's like, you put up 5 Christmas trees and see how long it takes you. She puts one in each shop and then, of course, one at home. She's like, by the time she's doing the one at home, she's like just throwing the ornaments at the tree. Like, whatever, get on the tree. The ones in the shop have pretty ribbons and everything's on them. That's really cool. Alrighty.
20.
Thanks to Corby and John for doing maintenance on my computers remotely. Cool, Ricky. I've seen the stars. It's just Zuckerberg scamming people. Yeah. What extra cost will be involved if I get one of those holiday specials besides transferring data? For you, Carolyn, nothing. You have everything already. Alrighty, folks, welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break there. My name is Thor Schrock, and you're listening to Compute This. Schrock Innovations has multiple locations to help you out when your computer is having trouble. Of course, we have the original location in Lincoln, 7501 South 15th Street, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. In Omaha, 168th and Burke, across the street from the Village Point Mall. In Papillion, 84th and Highway 370 in the Midlands Place Shopping Center. And, of course, the newest Schrock, 9500 University Avenue. I almost called it Baby Schrock again, but it's not a baby anymore. It's like toddler Schrock now, and there's no fun way to say that. 9500 University Avenue in West Des Moines, Iowa. All right, number to join us on the program today if you want to be a part of the show and have a chance to win that $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate is 888-250-2091, and that's what Kelly has done. Kelly, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This? Gotcha. Okay, so that's a pretty. It sounds like a pretty generic message. Reinstall your internet adapter. It's almost like it sounds like you went through the troubleshooter, and they're saying we've done everything. Now the last thing is to reinstall the adapter. Most of the time, your internet adapter is a very basic component. Almost all of them install automatically with Windows now. You don't have to, really have to be connected to the internet to install them. So are you in front of that computer right now? Okay. Well, next time you are in front of it, give us a call in the service center, and we can step you through. The first step of reinstalling this thing is to uninstall it. And so what I'm wondering is if we go through with you over the phone and step you through deleting the existing adapter and then have you restart the computer, Windows may automatically reinstall the adapter. Now, the other thing is the error message that you're seeing is also the catch-all message for Windows when they don't know what's wrong with your internet connection. So it could be that the adapter is perfectly fine and that we just need to do something different. Like my mom was having trouble with her Cox modem, and Cox here in Omaha was giving her the runaround on that. And so now I'm going to have to go over there and figure out if it's her modem or their modem. I think it's their modem, and then they're going to want a service call, but it's their equipment, so they shouldn't charge a service call. And it's a pain in the rear to have somebody go through all that. So I definitely empathize with you, and I think you commented on Facebook too that you had this into us about a year ago in the Des Moines Service Center. Is that correct? Gotcha. So if it was something, have you used it in the last year since then? Oh, okay, gotcha. Because I was sitting here horrified, like, oh my gosh, did we send a computer out the door and not install the internet drivers? Oh my gosh, and then a year later, he's like, I better update this thing, and it won't get on the internet now. So yeah, if it worked before, there's definitely something going on there. I would say 80-20, it's not the adapter. That the error message that you're getting is just the catch-all message. There's something else going on. But either way, we can step you through some things on the phone that we can do to help troubleshoot that and see if we can't get you up and running. Do you have other devices in the house that are on the internet?
I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Hey,
Okay, and is the computer wired or wireless?
For that $25 gift card.
Okay, and each time it gives you the same message?
So I can call you if you want.
One time on
Mhm.
wired after I got the message.
305
Mm-hmm.
9854.
Okay, so something weird is going on because basically your wireless adapter and your wired adapter, those are separate adapters. So the odds of them both being bad or both not having drivers installed are pretty slim. So my guess is that you have
Great
some
question.
problem
Thanks.
here
Hold
that's
on.
not the drivers or the adapters itself. Something else is going on. But of course, for us to help you over the Schrock desk, we got to get you connected to the internet. If we can't get you connected to the internet, you got to catch 22 going on. So yeah, you've done all the troubleshooting that I would recommend, Kelly. Or excuse me, yeah, Kelly. All the troubleshooting that we would recommend over the phone. But we're definitely here to help you out if there's something more we can do. But we'll walk you through uninstalling and reinstalling the adapters just to make sure we've covered that base in case the error message is actually smart. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes the troubleshooter is smart and tells you what to do, and you just got to do it. And so if you always don't believe it, have you tried turning it off and on again? All right, thanks for the call, Kelly. I appreciate you joining us on the program today. 888-250-2091. So have you guys heard about the Secure Equipment Act that was bipartisan legislation? I mean, during the break here, the news break, they were like, the bill being signed by President Biden, bipartisan legislation. I'm like, oh, now they're going to talk about it. Right before I go on the air to talk about it, they're going to talk. No, they're talking about infrastructure. But this has nothing to do with infrastructure. In fact, it's anti-infrastructure. It removes infrastructure from American networks. Do you remember back in the day when President Trump said ZTE and all these other Chinese telecom companies are installing, they're selling their hardware at half of what Cisco and everybody else sells their hardware for. So all these telcos are buying the Chinese hardware and putting it on the network, and it's getting a backdoor to Chinese intelligence. They're using it for Chinese military intelligence, and we can't have that. We can't have that in a network where we're sharing intelligence, for example, or it's not safe for you as consumers to have that, because it gives China literally control over American telecommunications. Well, I have to tell you, there's a lot of people who believe that anything that Trump did, Biden came into office and immediately started undoing. This is one thing he did not do that on, because this makes sense to everybody. It's completely obvious that China is a communist country, that their interest is in preserving the Communist Party of China, and that they want to become dominant in the world in every aspect they can possibly be. And as a result, they're selling this hardware. These companies are selling hardware at a loss. Well, you never hear about them losing money, right? So somebody's making up this money somewhere, but they're selling this equipment at a loss. Lots of African countries, European countries were buying this stuff or snapping this stuff up, because all the ZTE, the Huawei stuff, all that stuff sells big time in Europe. You don't see it much in America, but you see it huge in Europe. You see a lot of Lenovo in America, which is another Chinese company, but you don't see a lot of Lenovo in Europe and things like that. You see a lot of Huawei. Well, the Secure Equipment Act was passed through the House in a bipartisan way. It was passed through the Senate in a bipartisan way, and it's being signed by the president. And it's going to ban all Chinese telecommunications equipment from all American networks. Now, of course, this is federal legislation, so if a private company wants to go out and buy one of these inexpensive spying devices and stick it on their own network, well, there's no law that says they can't do that. But basically, the federal government provides subsidies to companies to purchase new equipment and upgrade to 5G and do things like that. They will not be able to get the subsidies if they're purchasing Chinese equipment. That's what it comes down to. So we're going to see a reduction in the dependence on Chinese hardware with questionable motives on American networks, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's something that everybody can agree on. For once, we can all sit down together and have a Thanksgiving kumbaya and say, wow, we can all share a Coke or something. It's great. Isn't that weird that didn't get reported anywhere in the news this week? That's like a good news story, right? There's so much bad news. You can have one thing where it's like, well, at least they agree on that. Everybody can be reasonable here. I'd love to hear. No one's talking about, the rhinos that voted for the Secure Equipment Act. Nobody's talking about the moderate Democrats that didn't put a, something or other in the bill, and maybe there is something or other in the bill. There's always something or other in the bill. I haven't read the whole bill myself, but this is important. This needed to get done, and it's good to see that our government can still function on things that make sense. Maybe the reason it went through is because no one knew it was happening. Maybe that's why everybody could, there was no media coverage demonizing it. I don't know. 888-250-2091, but it's good to see everybody working together for a change. Steve, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Software or hardware per se, but definitely something everybody uses, which is email.
Yes.
And since you're the king of everything, I think you'll have an answer. I've been a customer for decades, and now that I'm in the old market, and now that there's finally an alternative
Yes.
for home internet, which is Verizon, which is erecting these towers to allow their home internet service
Mm-hmm.
across Omaha. I would love to switch to that and save a few bucks,
Okay.
but it means letting go of my Cox email address.
Yep.
Important in a lot of ways. So to speak. And when I first reached out to Verizon, they said, we're not sure if you can keep that. You have to talk to Cox. And when I finally reached someone from Cox, they said, no, it's not doable. So is that true? Are you just telling me that?
Oh, no. No, it's not portable at all. Email addresses are not portable. They're tied to your service account. So as soon as you cancel your service with Cox, that email will cease to function. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of different ways you can get email, and there's no free lunch when it comes to email. So email has a cost. A lot of people don't realize that, but every time you send an email, it actually costs money. We pay at Schrock per email on the email accounts that we use, and we use Amazon for email service. And the email accounts that we set up, we get charged for every email that goes through the accounts. Now, it comes out to be something like $7 or $8 per account per month or something like that. It's not crazy, but and then when we have customers that buy websites from us, basically, we set up their email with Amazon. The reason we use Amazon is they give you Amazon work mail for free. It gives our business clients a lot of options that are not something that consumers would probably be interested in or use. But long story short here is whether if you go with Gmail, the price you're paying is your privacy. Gmail reads everything. Now, of course, there's not a human there reading it because we have a labor shortage, you see. So they have machines that are reading it and categorizing it and looking for everything like that. If you use Yahoo, it's the same thing. If you use MSN, it's the same thing. All the free services do the same thing. Then you get into the pay ones, like Proton Mail is probably one of the most secure and private email services out there. Proton Mail, you pay for it. You pay annually for email. And people are so used to getting email for free. Even I kind of balked at the price of a Proton account. I was like, really? I'm like, I guess, I'm in that unique position that I can run my own email. I don't need a third-party service to do that because I own the third-party company that can do it. It's like, does Jeff Bezos use Amazon for email? I'm pretty sure he does. But what it comes down to is having an email account that you can take with you that's portable is really advantageous if you're planning on shopping around for internet service. So there's a few ways you can do that. You can always go to one of the freebie third parties, Gmail, Yahoo, MSN, things like that. Or you can go out and buy yourself a web domain. You go on to GoDaddy.com and you buy, Steve.com, because I'm sure that's available. There you go. Yeah, and you can set up an email account associated with that. I have an email account. I bought SchrockMail.com. And everyone's like, oh, you're going to start a mail service? I'm like, no, it's just for me. Just for me. I'm Schrockmail, schrockmail.com. But basically, you can go out and set yourself up your own email account, and then you run your own email that way. One of the things that you can do that I would recommend is before you're getting ready to switch services away from Cox, set your Cox email to forward all email to your private, your own new email account. So, and then you don't log into Cox anymore. Everything gets forwarded. And then when you reply to people, create a signature on the bottom that says, please note my email address has changed. And then, of course, when you reply, your reply to address will be different. And, of course, the longer you can do that, the better off you're going to be. If you can do it for 6 months, that's probably sufficient to get everybody important in your life converted over, unless the accountants for tax time are important than a year. But yeah, otherwise, it can be a little bit of a pain to bounce those around, unfortunately. No problem, Steve. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. All right. 888-250-2091. Going to take a quick break here. Before we go to break, though, make sure you stay tuned after the program today. We don't even have to stop the program because I'm on the cell phone, right? So we're just going to end the regular show, and then we're going to keep going. It'll be like the instant aftershock. Instant Schrock. But during the aftershock this week, we're going to talk a little bit about crypto. It popped huge, all-time highs this week. Then it dropped. So what's going on there? Ransomware attack took down one of the top comic book distributors in the world. In fact, the top comic book distributor in the world. So if you're planning on ordering comic books or figurines or anything like that for somebody for Christmas this year, you need to do that right now. I'm not joking, right now. Also, the holiday special feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. We're going to talk about some of the great things that people have liked about their holiday specials during the aftershock. And of course, if you want to call in 888-250-2091, I'd love to hear from you if you have a holiday special that you're enjoying as well. All right, going to take our break here, guys. This will be the final one of the program. When we come back, Apple tried to ice a bunch of independent cell phone repair shops. Now, these cell phone repair shops are kind of annoying to me because they're edging into our territory. We don't go into your territory. We bought all the tools. We totally could do it. We replace iPad screens sometimes for people, but we can do this with Surface screens. We'll do those, but we're not really interested in fixing phone screens. Way too much can go wrong. It's a nightmare. I can tell you all about it in the aftershock why it's a nightmare, but it's a nightmare. Apple continually tries to kill these independent repair shops. And it's mind-boggling that they would go so far to do it. I'm going to tell you some theories on why they might be trying to do this coming up next on Compute This. All right, Winston, then we're going to get you in real quick. I want to make sure I get your call on the air. All right, let's see here.
Remember the good old
Comments.
days when virus detection worked like where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the
Oh,
spring
Carolyn, what cost will be extra if you get a holiday special besides transferring the data? The only additional cost might be an extended warranty that I would recommend. They're $99 per year, so 1 year is $99. I recommend 3 years on a holiday special. Get you a 4-year total warranty. That would be about the only additional cost.
Sophos Intercept X antivirus backed by
Alrighty.
Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI.
Secure Updater has been read all week. I've restarted the computer several times. What else can I try? Okay, Alice, it sounds like your computer is having difficulty installing an update for a particular program with Secure Updater. Typically, when this happens, what we can do is it's because the main program that's installed in your computer has a corruption, and so it can't be uninstalled, so we can't install the new one. So give us a call in the service center. Let us get connected over the Schrock desk. There won't be any charge for it, and we'll get that resolved for you so that it's installing that properly.
Device, data, and identity safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Thor, it's amazing that you are capable to have the knowledge and ability to switch to using your cell phone for the show. Yeah, well, you know, we try. I'm sorry that the video is choppy. I wish there was something I could do about that. Yeah, it's the forward-facing camera, hon. Guessing some sort of difficulty with the OBS software. What, were you not here for the start of the program, lovely Kimberly? What the heck? You missed all the compliments about your catalogs from Winston? You missed all that? No, my laptop literally died. Like, it's on the BIOS screen. It didn't even give me the HP logo. It's an HP. It's one of our former holiday specials. And it's just blinking cursor in the top left corner. It's completely dead. So, yep, it's going to need a new MOBO, new motherboard for sure. Battery hasn't been charging quite right either recently, so I don't know. Maybe I should just buy myself a holiday special. If you're looking for an excuse, you know. All right. We can hear everything you say while you're on the mic. Ooh, hold on a second. Gosh, I hate these little... All right, gotta go. Alrighty, folks. Final segment of the program, but if you've been with us for a while and you're like, hey, this is going pretty good, I'd like to stick around, feel free to stick around on facebook.com/Schrock Innovations after the program for the After Schrock, where we'll cover a few different stories for you. Also, I mentioned at the start of the program that Schrock Innovations has the area's only fully equipped data recovery lab. And then I mentioned that there was a competitor in Ankeny that wanted to sell us some equipment that he was trying to offload. And the way his email was structured to me, this is the way a lot of computer repair shops structure this stuff. Literally, I have everything you need to get to start a hard drive data recovery business right here. I've got a PC 3000. I've got 2 sets of ramp kits for Western Digital hard drives, and I've got 4 boxes of hard drives that have all been professionally wiped for parts and ready to go. And I've got a laminar flow hood. And so I'm like, okay, hey, the ramp sets, those are expensive. You bought the nice ones. We don't have those particular 2 sets because they're not very popular. Like, we don't see a lot of those drives coming in for data recovery. So we buy them when we need them, right? So, hey, we need a set of head ramps. Then what the head ramps do is when the arms move across the platters, so they kind of go across like that and read the platters on the hard drive as the platters here spin in a circle. Well, the ramp is a tool that goes in there and lifts those heads off the platters so that we can replace the heads. That's why your hard drive fails. We replace the heads, and now all of a sudden we can read your data and get it back. But you got to have the right tool to get the heads off, otherwise you'll never get it right and you'll end up losing all the customer's data. So these heads are like $800 a set, and you need a different one for every size and style and brand of hard drive out there. And so he's got 2. I'm like, okay, great. You have 2 out of like 40. Great. His flow bench was nice, and I'm like, hey, that's a $3,000 flow bench. I might jump at that for $1,500 or so. So I'm like, okay, let's work on a price. And it's a negotiation, right? So I said $1,500 for the flow bench and the heads, because I figure he'll come back and say, oh, that's a ripoff. $2,000. And I'm like, all right, $2,000, because his bench, our laminar bench is only 2 feet wide. His was 4 feet wide, and I thought Brian could use the elbow room in there, kind of nice, little things, right? And he goes, this bench was $3,000 new, and whatever. So we have a fully equipped data recovery lab at Schrock not because we have the most boxes of hard drives or the most head ramps, but the fact that over time, the longer you do this job, the more tools you acquire. It's like any other repair work. The longer you work in a position, like if you're an air conditioner repairman or a carpenter, you buy new tools as you need them. And once you have the tools, the next time you need them, you just have the tools. And it allows you to turn drives faster, to get data back faster, to be more reliable because you're not trying to make the wrong tool for the job do the job. You have the right tools on hand. And that's one of the things that we do at Schrock. When we're recovering your data from crashed hard drives, now we can recover solid state drives too in-house. When we're doing that stuff for you at Schrock, our main concern is making sure you get your data back. So the next time, have a backup, guys. Please have a backup. In fact, that's one of the reasons why both the Holiday Special laptop and the Holiday Special desktop come with built-in Schrock safe and stored backup drives, so that your data is backed up, so that if your solid state would fail, we at least have your files, right? So you don't have to go through data recovery. So have a backup. But if you're in that situation where you thought you had a backup and it didn't work, or you just didn't do it, whatever the case might be, we're not going to backup shame you, I promise. But Schrock Innovations can get that data back for you. Give us a call whenever you need that. All right, let's jump into those phones again. Winston, welcome to the program. Thanks for hanging on the line there. How can I help you on Compute This?
Yes, good morning. Hey, I got a holiday special laptop, and I love it because I've been tethered to a desktop for a long time. And that laptop, Maggie, I got jealous. There's so much Maggie all over my house.
Well, it's funny because I saw your computer in the recycle area, and I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's what Winston's been using this whole time? Like, wow, that one lasted a long time, Winston. Corby. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Marissa's up front. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And a backlit keyboard. Yeah, it's solid without being, you can have a keyboard that's stiff, or you can have one that's all mushy gushy where you type on it and it sounds like you're like poking at bubble wrap, This one is like the perfect setup right in the middle. And I don't know about you, Winston, but I don't hunt and peck. I know where all the keys are at. I just peck really fast because I never learned to touch type. Of all the stupid things, the computer guy never learned to touch type. Now they teach it. Now they teach it in school. I hit that window where I went to Omaha North, where it was a technology magnet school. I didn't have to learn how to touch type. Go figure. But so I don't hunt and peck, but I do look at the keyboard when I'm typing. And so at night, if it's dark in there, I'm angling my screen down a little bit so it's shining the light on the keys. But with the backlit keyboard, it's just there. You don't have to even think about it. So it's pretty neat. The laptop this year is definitely a home run, and we were a little nervous about this one because we always try to have a big wow factor with the Holiday Special laptop. Like last year, it had 2 screens. Like the touchpad was a screen last year, like a phone screen. They're like, wow. This one looks a lot like the Gallant. I mean, literally, if you set them side by side, the palm rest is a little bit different, but it looks like the Gallant. Now, when you touch it, you can feel the difference, but it looks like the Gallant. So we were a little nervous that. It has a touch screen, the Gallant doesn't, but is this going to be different enough that customers will like look at it and say, wow, that's worth an extra, $500. And I think now Maggie's jealous. Now you're in trouble. She's going to take your laptop. Yeah, he's like, it ain't going to happen. Well, you flipped yours several times, I think, didn't you, Winston? Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thank you for the call, Winston. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us on the program today and share your experience with that Holiday Special laptop. It means a lot to me. Thank you. All righty. 888-250-2091. So Apple tried to ice a bunch of independent phone repair shops. Now, when I say independent, what do I mean? There are phone repair shops that are Apple authorized, right? They have all the tools and software tools required that Apple has to perform security level updates on parts. So, for example, you remember if you break your screen back in the day and you get a new screen, you had to transplant the home button from your old phone to the new phone because that was the microchip that was associated with your fingerprint. And if you replaced the home button with a new home button, well, then the chips don't match and it would never allow you to use fingerprint ID again. And so that was one of the things, then the iPhone 11, then the iPhone 12, that every time Apple releases a new phone, they do something with the screen to make it very difficult for shops that don't have those software tools to replace and fix the screens. Now, of course, one of the things is, if we wanted to become Apple authorized, we can't. Now, the reason we can't is because we are directly across the street from an Apple store in Omaha. And if we want all of our locations to be Apple authorized, well, that one can't because it's too close to an Apple store. Now, Lincoln, we'd have no problem. Papillion, no problem. Best Buy is authorized. Maybe we'd have a problem in Papillion. I don't know. And then, of course, Des Moines wouldn't have a problem. So we could get authorized in those service centers and be fine if we wanted to fix phone screens. But my goodness, if you've ever done that kind of work or seen someone do it, the first one you do, you're always going to rip a cable. The first time you do a model, and the cables are like $20 or $30. That's ridiculous. Well, Apple in the iPhone 13 set it up so that the face detection wouldn't work if you replaced your screen. So yeah, your face unlock doesn't work if you have to replace your screen. People were outraged by this because they found out what it would cost to have the screen replaced in an Apple store. Why is it cheaper to have it replaced at a local shop? Well, you can have it replaced at the local shop, but then your Face ID won't work anymore, and your thumbprint won't work anymore. And it's for security. So on one hand, it's really underhanded of Apple to do this. On the other hand, imagine you're an Israeli security firm and you could bypass someone's security on their phone by replacing the screen. I think that's what Apple's worried about. I don't think it's nefarious, but I think it's convenient that Apple can make a lot of extra money selling screen repairs when other local shops can't. Today's winner, $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, is Kelly. Congratulations, Kelly. You got yourself $25. We're going to add that to your Schrock account. Marissa will get that taken care of for you on Monday. Holiday specials are still going strong. If you're on the website, the desktop may go into back order today. That's okay. It's going to be all right because we have 60 cases on the way shipped from the U.S. to us with a weirdest tracking number I've ever seen. I think it's coming on Bob's Trucking Service. All right, stay tuned for the Aftershock coming up next. Thanks for joining us on the program today, and we will see you all again next weekend for another exciting edition of Compute This. And another one in the can.
How long have you been on here?
Oh, God. How long has it been, guys? Well, I've been doing the show. I think we were in business for 2 years before we started the show, so that would have been 2001.
Yeah.
We started in Lincoln.
Right.
I think. Oh no, we got on KFAB right. See, we tried to get on KFAB, but apparently Gary gets lots of calls from people who want radio shows,
Yeah.
and so he's like, "Yeah, no, go to hell." But he was nice about it. He was like, "Send me a demo tape." So
Right.
I sent him a tape of the show in Lincoln, and then I just never heard back, and then never heard back. Then I realized, using the Thor brain, contact an ad rep. Because the ad rep wants the money.
Sure.
And she will continually hound Gary, and I won't have to do it.
Are you with Melissa?
I don't have an ad rep right now. We're a slate now.
Oh,
We have
okay,
an
that's
agency
right.
now.
You went to was it Melissa originally?
I don't remember. No, it wasn't. I do remember the lady who did it originally, and oh my gosh, she and I did not get along. She's not here anymore.
Oh, is it Michelle?
I don't remember.
Michelle Phillips.
I don't remember, honestly. But we did not get along.
I think I know.
Yeah, she sold me an ad package once where it was. And sorry for all you guys. This is good Aftershock, right? She sold me an ad package once that it was like a trade deal, right? So you have the auction that you do,
Right.
And so
Yeah.
vendors give computers or whatever else, and so we gave like 4 websites that were worth $4,000 a piece to auction in the radio auction, thinking that we were going to be able to use that money for the radio show or for commercials, right? She never told us it was new spend only. So you can't use it for existing spend. So if you already have a radio show that you're spending money on, you can't take your trade and use it to pay for something you were already paying for. You have to add new commercials.
Should have told you that.
Should have told me that. I was a little upset about that, and then she basically was like, "Well, you can suck an egg," and I said, "Well, I'll not pay the bill then, or I'll pay the bill, but I know if I pay it 91 days late, you don't get a commission. So, what are we going to do about this? That's my income you're talking about. You're talking about taking my income away," and I'm like, "You're talking about taking my income away. What do you want from me?" So yeah, so sometimes you have to play a little hardball. A little bit. I'm a nice guy, right? I don't purposefully damage people.
Yeah.
The other day, a buddy of, it's not my buddy, I guess, but I went to have lunch over at First Watch in Papillion, or breakfast, and guy, the new manager, he's been there forever, and now he's the manager, and he and I talked. He's from El Salvador. My son was born. His parents were born in El Salvador, so I talked to him about El Salvador because when else do you get to talk to somebody who actually lived there, And so we're chit-chatting it up, and he comes back over and drops the bill on my table as I walks by, and he comped my breakfast. And it's a $20 breakfast, so I gave the waitress a $20 tip. He didn't have to comp my breakfast. There's the tip for the waitress. Now, see, I don't feel... See, I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. But my gosh, if you try to scam me out of $16,000, and oh my God, the one of the 4 websites went on for 6 years in development. Like 6 years we were working on this website. We'd call the guy, "Oh, where's my website done?" And he was a lawyer. "I'm going to sue you." And then we'd go through all the garbage with him, and we'd get it ready to launch, and then we just wouldn't hear back. "My wife will call you back and tell you about the things she wants changed." So, we call every 30 days. Nothing. Eventually we stopped calling because it's like, well, you'll call us when you're ready. A year later, "Why isn't my website done? This is ridiculous. I want my money back." And you're like, well, you didn't give us money. You gave the radio station money. So maybe you should call the ad rep.
There you go.
Oh, we never did those again. We never did that again. Not with websites, anyway. That was... It seemed like a good idea. Let's get our name out there. Let's add 4 websites to the portfolio. These are customers who are going to pay $30 a month in hosting going forward for a long time. Seemed like a really good idea. No, it wasn't. It was an ambulance idea. You've been around long enough, you know what that means. Okay. Oh yeah, Aaron, I know the mic is live during the breaks. We're on the cell phone. We're on the backup tech here. We don't got fancy switches and buttons and green screens for this. This is au natural. Alrighty, let's see. I was a little bit late. Now I know what's going on. I remember this has happened in the past. Yeah, well, in the past, I've forgotten my computer. I have never actually had my entire computer just poop on me. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but that's all I'm getting is a blinking cursor. It's been doing that for the whole hour. And it's hot, and I don't think it's going to boot. So yeah, that was unfortunate. I don't know why I'm plugging it back in. What difference does it make? So yeah, but I guess next week I'll have to have a new laptop. I won't be able to wait for the end of the holiday special if I want a holiday special. But then heck, I'm going to have to, I don't know. I could do it with a Galant. We could upgrade the memory in a Galant because the memory is really what kills you. We could do it pretty easily with a Galant, I think. That would be the responsible thing to do. But I really want a holiday special. Oh, golly. Okay. Love this show. Was that a Costco in Omaha or La Vista? Carla, we don't know. That's the thing. Costco will not say where it happened. They said that they're individually notifying customers based on where they think people were impacted. But if you do a Google search for it or a duck search, apparently on Reddit and a lot of social media platforms, Costco customers were complaining that their accounts were getting all these fraudulent charges. And the only thing they all had in common was they all used Costco gas pumps. They kind of crowdsourced and figured it out, and then Costco had to come along and say, I guess so. Oh, let's see. Cox lets me use my email for 3 months before they shut it down when I canceled my account a couple years ago. Well, that was kind of them. My secure updater had the same issue with Adobe 3 times it tried to install and fail. Okay, so if we have multiple people having Adobe issues, I will ask the guys to look into Schrock Interactive to look into just to re-upload the Adobe, make sure that it's not broken on our end. I'm looking at mine right now, and mine is installed fine. Let me pull it open, go to Programs. Adobe, yeah, my Adobe Acrobat Reader DC is current version. So yeah, there's something weird going on there. The way that the guys are going to install or fix this for you, the first thing they're going to try is they're going to uninstall your Adobe Acrobat DC from your computer. Then they're going to restart your computer and let Secure Updater reinstall it. If the reinstall fails, then we know the problem is somewhere with Secure Updater. and then we can fix that on our end. But 9 times out of 10, it's not the problem. It's actually the customer's computer that's failing, or the program on the computer has a problem. And when we're trying to install the new one, the old one won't uninstall, and so it just stops. It fails. So you're going to get like an error code in the log and everything else, and that's how it goes. So yeah, definitely we'll uninstall the original version that's installed and let Secure Updater try to install it again. Okay, oh my Thor, I was typing teacher who taught students not to look at their fingers when typing. I know, right? Now, if I really concentrate, I can, okay, I got the nubs on the keyboard here, and I can type for the most part, but I'm literally, if I force myself to do it all the time, I'd probably be pretty fast at it eventually. It's like anything else. It just takes practice, but realistically, I don't type much anymore. Really, I don't. Almost everything I do now is voice text, which makes for some hilarious text messages. I don't know, maybe I am not punching my P's and enunciating my T's, but sometimes like Schrock Innovations becomes Rock Renovations, or Schrock Desk becomes the Rock Desk. And you think after doing this for so long, my phone would figure out I'm saying Schrock when I go back and correct it every time. But anyway. So yeah, I have to, when I'm emailing employees, I'm a little loose about it. But I respond to some of the messages on Facebook, especially when the guys in the shop are real busy. I'll take out my phone and make sure those are all covered. And yeah, I'll voice text, then I have to go back and read it just to make sure I didn't say something stupid. Like when I said, that's a terrible situation, and the phone thinks I said something completely different. We don't want that to happen. That would be bad. Who did that? I don't know who did that. Alrighty. Karen and Roger are still with us. Good to be here, guys. He's a very fast hunt and peck kind of typer. Howdy, Thor. Thanks for taking... Oh, hey, no problem, Winston. You can call into the show anytime, Winston. All right, you need to take that laptop to a computer repair store. Well, I know, right? But here's the thing. This is an HP laptop. It has a 4K screen. It's an i7 7th generation, so it's not Windows 11 compatible. So if you were my customer, right, and I know it's going to need a motherboard, because that's the only thing that can be wrong when it blows up like that. Because if it was a bad hard drive, I'd get a hard drive error. If it was a bad memory, I'd get a beep code. I know the battery is bad too, because if I pull the power plug, it just turns off. But I don't really care because I only use it on power here in the studio. And that's really convenient because there's been a couple times I've been doing the show when I've forgotten to hook up the power cord at the start of the show. By about halfway through, my computer's like, low battery. I'm like, what? And I'm scrambling while I'm trying to do a radio show trying to plug it in. So if it just doesn't work without the power cord, that's actually kind of handy. So now I know I have a bad battery, and I know I have a bad motherboard, and I know I have a computer that's not Windows 11 compatible that I'm only going to be able to use safely until 2025. Recommendation I would make to my customer is buy a new laptop. Yeah, we'd make a lot more money fixing this thing. We'd probably make close to $100 selling you a motherboard. We'd have 2 hours of labor at $240. The battery, maybe another $30 there. So, we'd make like $300 fixing this thing. We don't make $300 selling you a new computer. You'd probably buy a holiday special like some other guy I know, and then, we don't make any money on that. Well, again, the objective when we're dealing with situations like this with our customers is to get the best solution for that customer. So sometimes you're using an old piece of equipment to power another old piece of equipment, and you have to keep them together. And so in that case, we would fix it. In this case, this is not something that's going to get fixed. This is something that's going to... This screen is probably worth more than the laptop because someone somewhere is going to break their HP screen, and then we'll have a screen on hand to replace it, and we can sell it to them at a much lower cost than a new screen. When we can do refurb, we do, especially with the supply chain the way it is right now. One of the things that we haven't talked about in a long time is our Papillion Service Center is actually a giant warehouse inside. If you've ever been in there, if you look in the back room, there's just big metal shelves, boxes and boxes of screens and parts and things that we've, when you recycle stuff with us, like Winston's computer, he recycled it with us. We'll pull the motherboard out of there because it's functional. And somebody else that has a similar computer as Winston may have a motherboard that goes bad at some point. And then if it's under warranty, we can use the Schrock motherboard from Winston's computer to replace the Schrock motherboard that's bad in another computer under warranty. So, and whereas we can't buy that board anymore, like literally it's not available anywhere. So just having the option to fix it is huge. So yeah, it's insane how much stuff we have in Papillion, waiting just on the off chance we might need it. I mean, this has the palm rest on this one, it's pretty clean. I mean, I'm not a neat freak or anything. It's a little scuffed up. It's been on a couple camp outs, That's probably why the battery's shot, honestly. Laptops don't like cold weather. When you take them into weather like right now outside, it'll cause the battery to fail. Same thing with your cell phone. You shouldn't leave your cell phone out in the car when it's cold like this. You should take it with you, keep it in your pocket where it's warmer, because the battery will expand and swell if it has too many temperature changes like that. What the heck are you using an HP computer for? Well, that's the thing. Well, if I get a holiday special, I'll be using an Asus computer, right? So it's a laptop because in the studio, I have to be careful. I'm privy to some knowledge that I'm not supposed to share, so I have to be careful. Let's say there's the possibility that this wall might not always be behind me here in the KFAB studio, and this counter may not always be here, and I don't really know how large of a counter or how much space behind me there would be in another studio somewhere else, just for the sake of discussion. It doesn't make sense for me to I wanted to put a whole desktop. I wanted to redo the entire tech in this room. I wanted TVs on the wall so we don't have to green screen, so you can have rotating images, not just for my show, but for all the air talent. I wanted to have different computers on the desktop so that they could Facebook Live all their shows, do the whole thing from start to finish, but it didn't work out because of a lot of things. So I have to bring my own computer in every day. So I bring my laptop in, I set up my laptop, I hook up my camera holder here, I get all my USB gear here with my USB plug so I can get on the internet and get the microphones and everything set up. Then I put up the green screen behind me, and then that's what you're seeing on the show with the Compute This background on it. That's a portable green screen. I have to set that up every show. I get up at like 5:40 in the morning to be here by 7 to be ready to go. So it's quite a production to get everything set up. And of course, I did the green screen before I did the computer. It's like I had to take it up, and then I'm like, I got the phone set up, and I'm looking at the phone screen. I'm like, this looks really dumb having just a plain green background behind me. It looks really dumb. I need to take that down again. So I took it down again. It was unfortunate. So yeah, that's why this HP computer has been heavily modified. Pretty much the only thing inside of it that I haven't replaced is the motherboard. Now it needs to be replaced, so it's kind of time to move on. This was a holiday special, so don't get me wrong. This was a holiday special. All right, hello. Can I give you a suggestion on... Hello, I can give you a suggestion on where to buy a new laptop. That's very kind of you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's just so hard to find someone that you can, trust these days to buy your technology from. All right, let's see here. What do we got for stories that we didn't have time to get to on the air today? Let's see here. No, we got to that one. Oh, the comic distributor. Okay, so this is interesting because we had a client a few years back here in Omaha that was the largest comic book reseller in the country. They were in Gretna. They were in the mall in Gretna, in Nebraska. Gosh, what was the name of that place? I can't think of it now. But basically, they are having Schrock rebuild their entire comic inventory management, delivery, ordering system. So Schrock Interactive was rebuilding everything. In the middle of that, they hit some financial hard times apparently, and Diamond, the company that prints the comic books, all of the comic books, cut them off. They said basically you're cash only. You have no more credit with us. And literally, this comic store in Gretna was one of the largest overseas shipper. They were shipping comics to the troops. I mean, they were huge. So to have Diamond cut your credit off when you're using like $700,000 a month in credit line you're using and paying off. Well, apparently they hadn't been paying it off, and Diamond let them go for a while longer than they should have, and they got a little deep, and Diamond finally said, we got to stop it. Well, Diamond prints all the comic books, and Diamond got hit with a ransomware attack. So on Sunday, Diamond Comic Distributor said a ransomware attack was affecting its order processing systems and internal communication platforms. This was last Sunday. They announced it. This is a story from November 10th. major comic book company Diamond Comic Distributors is struggling to keep up with its planned shipments after being hit with a ransomware attack on Sunday. Can you imagine being Diamond Comics, the distributor of all things, not just comic books, but figurines, all the comic related stuff, right before Christmas, at a time when shipping is already slow, especially international shipping, and now your ordering system is offline? Can you imagine? In a statement, the company said its planned shipments for Wednesday would be delayed about 2 to 4 days, which is really optimistic. It's going to be more than 2 to 4 days. Throughout the country, due to the attack, reorders are expected to resume within the next 72 hours, 3 days. I wonder, well, I don't have a login to order anything from Diamond, but I wonder if I go to Diamond Comics, can you just order from Diamond? They're a distributor, so I don't know that, I don't think that's the right one. Is that the right one? Oh my gosh. They have rolled it back to it's 2021 website, but it looks like a 2001. If you go to diamondcomics.com, this is, well, let me see, I can post a link right here. This is what their homepage looks like right now. It's ridiculous. So their website is still completely down, so they have not recovered the website. It's probably a low priority, but my guess here is, let me see, retailers. If I click on retailers, do I get a login? Already a Diamond distributor, click here to log in. And now I get a website login. Okay, so they may be back online for taking some orders. Updated November 10th, next 2 to 4 days. Initial orders, November 17th will be picked and packed, planned for invoicing today and tomorrow. So yeah, it looks like they're down for at least a week, which typically, that's pretty good. Typically it takes 2 weeks to get recovered from a ransomware attack. They must have had a solid set of backups. The company said it was dealing with the ransomware attack. The IT department and a team of third-party experts are working around the clock to address the issues. All customer and financial information is not stored on the network, which is exactly how it's supposed to be done, which is great. As such, we have no reason to believe you've been impacted by the attack. Excuse me. Based in Maryland, Diamond Comic Distributors was working with Agility Recovery, so they brought in an entire third-party company to get their stuff back online. The company is one of the biggest print comic book distributors in the world, and hundreds of retailers depend on them for some of the biggest comics available. When you think about comic book stores, Omaha has maybe three comic stores. Hundreds of comic stores rely on Diamond. So if a city the size of Omaha has 3, maybe Chicago has, 5? Maybe New York has 10? And hundreds are relying on Diamond. So if you're playing... These things always have a tendency to haunt, right? My guess is they're filling orders on paper right now in their warehouses, which means everything is going to be slow going forward until the new system gets online. So with that said, if you're planning on ordering anything comic related for the holidays, I would definitely recommend you get that done ahead of time if possible, so that you should have already ordered it anyway if you're doing Christmas stuff. All right, Ronald, I heard North Dakota announced they found a major oil field. If I was North Dakota, I would build a refinery and keep the oil in the state. Well, that's the cool thing. Gas prices are going up, obviously. They're up quite a bit. To the point where even liberalized social media is starting to say, what the hell? I'm starting to see things. I'm starting to see the little Biden stickers, the I did that sticker that's pointing at the gas price, that you can buy them on eBay, and people are buying them and sticking them on the gas pumps when they fuel up. But I'm starting to see that on Reddit, which is crazy. So anyway, the long and the short of it is there will come a time where the price is high enough that fracking makes sense again. And when that happens, frackers be fracking. Now, the problem that a lot of oil companies are having right now is it's very tough to get capital. Many banks are not funding fossil fuel investments anymore. So if you want to get money for payroll or borrow money or do whatever, or, equipment loans, things like that, many banks are not lending money for that anymore, which, as long as there's still one or two that are willing to do it, they're going to get very wealthy very quickly. Other banks, if they have a board of directors that's very, what do they call that? Activist board of directors. If they have an activist board of directors who is interested in social stuff above the business stuff, because the purpose of a for-profit company that has shares in the company is to return an investment to shareholders. That's its job. Now, at that point, you can subdivide it down and say, well, we can have a return to shareholders and do things in an environmentally positive way. Okay, that's fine. But these activist investors are saying, we're not going to invest, we're not going to lend money to gun manufacturers, we're not going to lend money to oil companies. Literally, it's a very politicized group of customers that you're not willing to work with. And you have the right to refuse service to anybody, so they can do that. But all it takes is one company to come in and be like, yeah, we'll lend to the oil people. And then all of a sudden, they're going to get all the revenue from that. $2.89 for gas at Costco. Well, hopefully your card didn't get compromised, Eileen. That would be unfortunate. Yeah, it's crazy. It's up quite a bit. Let's see here. It's already there in terms of oil prices. $60 a barrel is what they need. The last oil crash eliminated the companies on the edge. Yeah, that's true. They lost a lot. We lost a lot of companies that were, they maybe had equipment. Like they may have thought they had all the equipment they needed to run an oil field, and they may have then, not succeeded in starting their oil field business, and then proceeded to try to sell that equipment to another company that maybe is a better oil field business. Except they wanted way too much money for the equipment. They wanted like what they paid for it. And that's not going to happen because we'll just wait for you to go bankrupt and then buy it on the fire sale. So we don't really need it. It was elbow room for one of my guys. I don't need that. And if we need that, the reason we don't have those 2 ramp sets was because, wait, we're talking about oil, aren't we? Yeah, we're talking about oil. We never see those hard drives. They're never in here. They're like dead brands. Like nobody uses them anymore. Why would we need those ramp sets? But if you're going to sell them to us for half off, well, sure, we'll take a couple. But anyway, $3.19 at Hy-Vee. I paid 18 cents at Hy-Vee. That's right, folks. Let me tell you a trick. This one simple trick. If you're buying Christmas gifts for people and you're going to spend money on Amazon, okay? Or if you're going to get Microsoft gift cards for people for like Xbox, things like that, any gift cards you're going to buy, go to Hy-Vee. Buy your gift cards at Hy-Vee and scan your Fuel Saver card when you buy it. They give you, I think it's, for every $20 you spend, you get 5 cents a gallon, right? So if you spend $100 on gift cards at Hy-Vee, like an Xbox subscription for a year for somebody for Christmas, you get a nickel in Fuel Saver for every $25. So you get 20 cents in Fuel Saver for buying the gift card. Now imagine you're somebody who buys a lot of parts online. Sometimes you're buying from Amazon, sometimes you're buying from eBay, sometimes you're buying from manufacturers, and you buy a lot of gift cards at Hy-Vee. In fact, they may know your name at the Hy-Vee service counter. Hy-Vee management may know your name because they keep calling every time I come in to buy $4,000 or $6,000 worth of gift cards in a day. And they're like, what's going on? That's above the limit. And then I pay with a credit card. They're like, you can't do that. You can't pay with a credit card. It's not safe. And then literally Amazon corporate called me. And they're like, sir, we just were curious. Why are you using so many gift cards? Like, what's going on with the gift cards? And I'm like, the grocery store over here has a deal where you buy gift cards and you get free gas, right? So, yes, when I fuel up my F-350, with the 60-gallon tank, it cost me a whopping 18 cents. That's right. So there is your money-saving tip for the day. It's very easy. If you buy a lot on it, I mean, how much do you spend a month on Amazon? All you have to do is go through, and if you do your Prime membership on Amazon, well, when that comes up, you just get a gift card at Hy-Vee. You get another 20 cents a gallon off your gas. It's great. It's an easy way. It almost sounds like a clickbait ad. There's some app called Get Upside that's advertising all over XM radio. And it's like, yeah, all I do is scan this app at the gas pump. It tells me what gas stations to go to get gas. And I scan the app and I get up to like 25 cents a gallon off. I've saved $200 this month with the Get Gas app or whatever. And it's basically, I'm in my head, I'm like, what's the business model here? I see. So gas stations sign on with the Get Upside app. And Get Upside says if you want discounted gas, you have to go to these stations. So then you go to those gas stations, and those gas stations are betting that if they discount the gas, you might come in and buy a cup of coffee or buy a candy bar or something or a slice of pizza, and then they're going to make money that way. Okay, it's a loss leader. That's a loss lead. Got it. I always, whenever I hear ads, I'm always like, what's the angle here? Like, I saw an ad yesterday for Let's Go Brandon silver coins, and I'm like, for real, like, you know, I can be political, and I try not to. I'm trying to get out of my normal life, like the politics out of my normal life, because it just takes over everything, and you feel negative all the time, and you start to have value judgments about people who you politically disagree with, who are good people. You know, it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, who's going to give somebody a Let's Go Brandon silver coin for Christmas? For real? Like, oh, look at that, it's a silver. Now, I may have at one point said we should make holiday special silver coins and give one away with each holiday special. That would be pretty cool. Like your commemorative silver coin with your holiday special. I don't know if anybody would buy a holiday special just to get the commemorative coin, but it would be pretty cool, right? The lovely Kimberly, she's like, that is such an old man thing to do, Thor. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be 45 next week. No, I'm an old man now. I'm giving away silver coins. It's bad. I saw something about John Kerry saying America couldn't be using coal-fired plants for electricity by 2030. Is he insane? What are they? Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. Okay. Again, I'm not going to get in. I don't want to have the politics invade the show here because honestly, everybody on the comments is like super like, yeah, let's talk about politics. But then I did a couple shows where I didn't, and I actually got emails from people thanking me for not. So people who don't like it are not saying anything, and people who like it are saying a ton, which is leading me to believe most people like it. And so I keep talking about it. And so I'm going to try to back it down a little bit, but I think what we're going to see here is with the 2030 coal-fired plants, all this stuff, is very much like what's happening with the vaccine mandate. You start asking, when the rubber meets the road, there are actual questions like, are you really going to fire 30% of the Navy? Literally 30% of the Navy, you're going to just let them go with dishonorable discharges in one day at the same time? Are you really going to lose 20% of airline pilots the day before Thanksgiving on the same day? Are you really going to do that? You start to, when the rubber meets the road and there's consequences to the actions, something like 40% of the federal workforce still isn't vaccinated. And those are the ones that Biden can definitely fire if they don't get vaccinated. I mean, that's the executive order. You work for the federal government, they own you. You know, that's just how it goes. Private companies, there might be some legal challenges and things like that, but I think this is going to be the same thing. You know, 2020 is going to come around and everyone's going to be like, yeah, we only have 10 years to get off coal, and the wind's not really blowing. That hasn't been a problem in Nebraska the last couple of days. In Iowa yesterday, oh my gosh, 2 days ago we drove to the Des Moines Service Center, and literally the whole way there, I was like being pushed from the back left, and the whole way home I was being pushed from the front right. And it was crazy wind. The windmills were just spinning. They were spinning like mad. I don't know how at night they get them all to blink together like that, but it's really creepy. I don't know why it's creepy, but the entire horizon is lined with windmills, and they're all blinking together. Like, is there like a blink management utility that does that? I don't know. It's amazing. Somebody thought of that. Somebody thought we should make them all blink together. All right. Yeah, that Winston, that's the Hy-Vee gas thing. That's all the time. I've been doing that for years. One time I asked Dan, the manager at Hy-Vee, I said, again, because like I said, I'm not a bad guy, right? If I'm taking advantage of something and it's costing Hy-Vee money, they're going to stop doing it, right? So it's like it's best to moderate in that case and not. Like, I have $35 on my Fuel Saver right now, and then the Fuel Saver, the second card that we have for the company, because I can't use that much gas, I would just go to waste because you have 30 days to use it, has $27 on it. And I'm going to add probably another $14 this weekend yet. I mean, it's ridiculous during the holiday season how much we spend. But, yeah, it goes year round. And so I asked Dan, the manager there, I'm like, do you guys actually make money when you sell these gift cards? Like, you're obviously offering the Fuel Saver discount, and that's whatever, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm not like, taking advantage, basically. And he told me that Hy-Vee makes around 20% on a gift card. So if I'm spending $10,000 in gift cards to get my Fuel Saver, they're making 20% of that. They're making $2,000. Isn't that something? That's phenomenal, right? I don't know how Amazon makes money, right? Maybe that's why they were calling me like, "What's with the? Can you stop doing the gift card thing? You're killing us, Smalls." Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, they have a special going this weekend, I think, over there too, where if you spend $50 in groceries, which is pretty much like a pack of Snickers and a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk, you're at $50. You get some fuel saver discounts. So they give fuel saver discounts for flu shots. They give fuel saver discounts for vaccinations, for COVID vax. They do all kinds of stuff. So if you watch the deals over there, you can get some pretty good fuel saver points and really reduce the amount of money you spend on fuel. Most of the time, you're limited to 20 gallons. Yeah, at the pump, you're limited to 20 gallons. So this is the trick. If you have a small car, you have to have a gas can. Like literally, like we have a gas can in one of the Schrock cars because the tank is only 16 gallons, the whole tank. So if they run it to empty, they only get 16 gallons. We have a 5-gallon can, and then they take it back to the shop. And I don't honestly know what happens to that 5 gallons of fuel. It always gets used by somebody, apparently, because we don't have 5-gallon cans lined up outside the service center. Funny thing, maybe it's an employee benefit. I don't know. Somebody's using that 5 gallons every time. I just never ask questions. Because what's the difference, right? Because the way it works is you swipe your card in the fuel saver, and if you you paid $3.19. Let's say you have $3.19 on your fuel saver. So you swipe your card in the pump, and because they have to charge you something because of the federal taxes, it goes down to 0.001 cent a gallon. So 20 gallons comes out to 18 cents. So if you use less than 20 gallons, you still lose $3.19 off your fuel saver card. You just only get 16 gallons instead of 20. So if you have a can, you get the 4 gallons, right? I mean, and that's good money. It's like $12-15. You know, one of my employees gets to stick it in their little car. I don't know, whatever they want to do. Do not use your points to get only something like 5 gallons. Oh, yeah, that's true. You're totally throwing them away. It always ticks me off when I'm fueling up my truck and I get the 17 gallons and it stops, and I'm like, ugh! I'm so angry. Like, Oh, and the other thing is your fuel saver card is also good at Casey's gas stations. You can use it there for fuel too. But I don't know why the math is different at Casey's. 20 gallons of gas will cost you 20 cents instead of 18. 2 cents more. 10% more. Can you believe that? 10% more? So it's 20 cents for 20 gallons at Casey's instead of 18 at Hy-Vee if it's important to you. Hy-Vee doesn't let you pay with EBT on their website for delivery, which is how I get groceries. Yeah. I know they don't take it for the delivery stuff because a lot of the time they're not doing their own deliveries anymore either. Hy-Vee is using like Uber and delivery services like that to deliver the groceries. So you sometimes it's awful. You get this like the guy who smoked a pack of cigarettes on the way over with your groceries in the car with the windows up. And he gets out of the car and like the cloud comes out. You get your groceries in your house and they smell like smoke. It's just like, oh, come on, man. You know, you're not a very good driver. And, you know, the lovely Kimberly may have told one particular driver, you're not getting a good review. And he's like, why? Because you smoked in the car with my groceries before you brought them here. And he's like, I didn't smoke in the car. Like, what, that's just you off-gassing? Oh, my goodness, my man. Your lungs. You're like I saw a COPD ad the other day, and the guy's like, it's time to take a stand against your COPD. And then you see this guy, and he has like a metal cigarette case, because like, we all have metal cigarette cases. And it was completely full, because they're always completely full. There's never one missing, right? And he clips it shut and slides it across the table. Because we all take very good care of the cigarettes we don't plan to smoke later. You know, we don't throw them into the trash can across the room, or, you know, the fireplace or something. You know, we close them carefully and slide them across the table. But then we put on our Jack's Pool Hall leather jacket and grab our pool cue and go to the pool hall where we're also not going to smoke. And because we took our Chantix inhaler thing. I was like, really? Like, take a stand against COPD. Stop smoking. You have COPD? Why are you smoking? I don't know. Hy-Vee in Grand Island has Power Hour, a Tuesday 4 to 6. Where gas is really cheap. No, that's not. I don't see that in Omaha at all. I ordered a TV that was $130 in store, $99 free delivery. DoorDash delivered it the next day for free. Yeah, they just sold it from the store. They took the loss, the $30 loss in the store, and they had DoorDash deliver it. It is crazy times. It's crazy times. The whole world is nuts, guys. So if you haven't done so already, if you haven't figured this out, inflation's like 10% month over month right now in a lot of things. Not everything, but in a lot of things. So I'd encourage you strongly to go out and buy a year's worth of toothpaste and razors and soap. And the stuff you know you're going to use, right? Like, don't go out and buy a year's worth of bread and butter dill pickles, okay? You're probably not going to, I mean, for me, that'd be like one jar, okay? But, buy stuff that you're going to use, but stock up on it, because there's now 111 container ships off the coast of California. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And driving back from Des Moines, some of the it's obvious that people are getting rushed through CDL training, because some of the truck drivers were just atrocious. One of them was Crete Carrier. They're in Crete, Nebraska. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could probably talk about this on the radio show, and the owner of Crete would hear about it. Literally cut me, damn near ran me off the road, and knew I was there. He knew I was right there, because he got right back over again when he got around what he was trying to go around. And there was no one behind me. All he had to do was just let me continue rolling, and he could continue rolling, and he could have just merged behind me and merged back over. But I don't drive a truck, so I don't understand all that stuff. But some of the truck drivers, their training is definitely not to the standard that you would, expect or hope for. And some of that's experience, right? I mean, it takes time to learn how to do this stuff. And I saw an estimate that said that we need nationwide something like 80,000 truck drivers. 80,000 truck drivers to meet demand. We're 80,000 short. And the vaccine mandate is going to kick in. And most major trucking companies have more than 100 employees, which is going to require the truck drivers to get vaccinated, which the vast majority of them are not, or to test weekly. How does a truck driver test weekly? He's on the road. So literally, you're going to give truck drivers a choice. They're either going to get vaccinated or they're going to quit. And not all of them are going to quit. Some of them will get vaccinated. Some of them will quit. Or some of them will move to smaller companies, owner-independent operators. And when those truck drivers are gone, other people, the larger carriers, are going to have to contract the smaller carriers to fill in the gaps where their drivers all went. So it's really, like I said, when the rubber meets the road, no pun intended, we're going to really see how serious everybody is about this. Because it is going to cause a monumental shockwave to the economy. I don't think anybody is prepared. I'm not prepared for what would come if they do this, because I'm still in that boat. Like, surely this is not going to happen. Like, I'm pretty certain it's going to happen to anyone who's federal. Like, anybody who's got a federal contract or a federal employee, they're going to get hit with this. But if you do this to the vast majority of consumer businesses with more than 100 employees, there are ads going up on Indeed right now that says no vax mandate. And it's just like, when you can actually advertise that, and you're not worried about alienating people from your workforce, because I had Rona 3 weeks ago, and on the tail end of it, at first I didn't think it was coronavirus, because it wasn't that bad. It was just I felt a little run down. It was like, I just felt like I was kind of blue, like I was, you like seasonal or occasional depression kind of thing. I just kind of felt like, man, I'm saying I just need to get up and I need to go take a shower and get dressed and comb my hair real nice and everything, and put on, go get my truck washed and go into the shop and build a bunch of computers, go talk to customers. That always makes me feel better when I talk to my customers. It energizes me. So I'm like, let's go into the shop and get some stuff done. So I go into the shop, and everyone's kind of looking at me like, don't worry, guys, it's not the Rona. Totally was the Rona. I'm like, oh my gosh. Next day, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have. No, it was that night. I was like, I went into work, and all I did was stand there and build computers. And then I was like, I feel just exhausted. And I spent 2 days in bed, and then I was fine. I mean, I had a sniffle or a cough for a little while, but then I was fine. My wife, same thing. She got it. She's got the annoying cough. She actually coughed a rib out of place. Can you believe that? So that was about the worst of it for her, was coughing her own rib out of place. Chiropractor's like, how'd you do that? Usually this is like pregnant women who throw up a lot do this. This is that kind of injury. Like, she did what to you? That's got to hurt. But we both had it. We both got over it. I'm very glad to be over it and have it not had a serious, negative impact. Nana got it. She's in our house quite a bit. Obviously, we were a little concerned about that because she's 60. So we're like, that's the high-risk group, and she's not vaccinated. And she got over it faster than we did. She actually, okay, funny thing. She called, if you've heard of America's Frontline Doctors, she called America's Frontline Doctors. Took them a day to get back to her, to get her a prescription for a Z-Pack and, what's the horse dewormer. So they got her the prescriptions. And they said, okay, someone's going to call you back in the next 48 hours to get your address for the prescription. She's like, 48 hours, really? So then somebody called her back 2 days later and got the thing. And they're going to ship it from Florida. So now they're going to ship. By the time she gets her drug, she's over it. She's better now. She's fine. She hasn't even got her prescription yet. So yeah, so my wife's like, I guess we just kind of hang on to this in case we have somebody we know that needs it. You know, I don't know what do you do with it at that point. But you know, for very thankful that our experience with COVID-19 was that of a severe flu or cold, and that was pretty much it. It takes a lot to knock me on my butt for 2 days, like in bed asleep for 2 days and 2 nights. It takes a lot, and that was the rate. You know, it was so light at first that radio show that I missed. I was out camping with the scouts, and I felt like I had a cold, but I was camping. I went camping with COVID. Okay, so there's a couple possibilities here. The COVID we have now is probably not as bad as the COVID that was originally around. Like the Delta variant, maybe it's more infectious, but it's not as hard to get over. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to get into all the details. But we don't need to be stopping the world for what's floating around out there right now. Like, you're on your butt for a couple days, you're back up again. Now, if you're an at-risk person, you know, and if you choose to get vaccinated, you know, great. That's probably smart. Yeah. You know, Roger got it. He's vaccinated. He got it. He didn't get it from me either. Maybe I got it from him. I think that Roger. But yeah. So anyway, I mean, he got it. He was same thing. Pretty much the exact same thing. He was down for a couple days. Of course, iHeart made him stay out for a little longer than that. And then he was back up and fine again. Yeah. Fun stuff. So yeah, the times are weird, and guys, the times are going to get weirder. So make sure you're stocked up on the things you need for Christmas dinner. If you bake Christmas cookies and things like that, if that's what you do, you might want to get your flour and your sugar and your stuff, the stuff you know you're going to use. Go ahead and get it now. I'm not telling you to go hoard toilet paper, but the stuff you know you're going to use, go get it now. Have it, because like me trying to order computer cases, guys, this is ridiculous. I'm placing orders. At first, it was just orders for 10 cases. Like, I'm going to place an order for 10 because we had 30 holiday special desktops. We never know what the split is going to be between the laptop and the desktop. How many desktops we're going to sell versus laptops. Right now, the split is 2-to-1 laptop to desktop. But we sold through all the ones we had built. And now it's like, oh boy, I need to build more. And I've got all the parts. I've got the boards, I got the chips, I got the drives, I've got the windows, I got everything except the cases, the housing that you build the computer in. So I got to find these, right? So we look everywhere for the ones we normally get. I can't get them anymore. I can't get the cases for our normal computers anymore. They're gone. They're just out of stock. Unknown replenishment date. They're on a boat somewhere. Don't even know which boat. We'll know when we unload them. So then we switch to our backup case. And now those are out of stock. And now I switched to a third case that we have, Fractal Designs case that we haven't used before. But it looks very similar to the Antec case, which is why I picked it. It's very, very close. So it won't, be a complete disruption. Because, the love of Kimberly is like, she just took pictures for the new catalogs. And she's like, now you're going to change all the cases? And I'm like, that's why I had you put the line on there that says, subject to change based on supply chain. It may not look the same. So anyway, now I have an order. I have 2 orders for two different cases that are 30 units each. I expect we're going to need 30 units to get through regular computers, and at least another 30 to get into late December on the holiday special. At that point, we're going to be getting close to how many? You figure at that point we've sold 60 desktops, which means we've sold 120 laptops if it's 2-to-1. So we're selling 150 computers. So we don't want to have a ton of cases. So of course, as soon as I get all of these in, then all the normal cases will come back available again. So we just want to make sure we have enough that we can produce, right? In the first quarter, we're going to launch our computer as a service, the Lend-Lease idea, basically. And we're going to need to have computers built for that. And if we can't get cases, that's going to be a problem, So
And I'm sure we'll be able to get cases again. I'm sure we'll be able to get the stuff again. It's just a matter of how long it's going to be until we can do it. So that's one of the reasons why it's like, if you go to the grocery store, go to Target, and don't go to buy anything. Just go to Target to look at the shelves. And you'll see nice full shelves, right? There's product on the shelves. But count how deep the product is. Is it 1? Is it 2? Of all the things, do you know that Target has received 1 shipment of spices? The Papillion Target received 1 shipment of spices in the year 2021. They just got them in a few weeks ago. So if you're doing cookies and you need cinnamon or you need anything like that, you should go get it now because you may not be able to find it later. It's the stupidest little things that you're missing 1 ingredient or 1 component and it blows up the whole thing and you can't build a computer, you can't bake a cookie. Can't break a gingerbread cookie without ginger, right? I don't know if you can or not. I don't know. I've never made gingerbread cookies. All right, let's see. We're going to wrap it up here in just a second. Oh, talk about Bitcoins. All right, yeah, okay, we'll get to that one here. Kraft, 20% increase. Oh, yeah, 20% on mac and cheese. On macaroni and cheese. Like, what about the more complex stuff? The mac and cheese is pretty simple, right? It's powdered cheese and noodles. Like, 20%? The packaging going up? Like, what the heck? Truck driving is a good deal for husband-wife teams. Yeah, I see a lot of team drivers out there. And the money's just going to keep getting better. I mean, from what I understand, you can make a pretty decent living as a truck driver right now. As long as you keep your road expenses under control. It's easy to spend a lot of money when you're on the road. What will these new truck drivers be like when the winter snow? Well, hopefully they get enough driving time in before then, because it was snowing that day too. It was just kind of ice crystals. It wasn't anything that was sticking on the road. But though I wanted to know if the loss of taste and smell from coronavirus, is that like when you get a plug nose from a cold? I could breathe completely normal. Literally, I could not taste anything. Literally nothing. Like, I grabbed a bag of Sour Patch Kids. They destroyed my mouth. I didn't taste a thing. Took the nasty, it's like Robitussin, but I don't know what it's called. I forget. Delsum. Oh my gosh, that stuff is disgusting. But it stops your cough, right? Just take a shot of that. Couldn't taste it. No coffee. Love it. So then I started to get a little concerned, though, because like some people have gone months without getting their taste and smell back, and I didn't want that to be me, because you realize how much joy you get from eating things. Like, literally, what do you want to eat? And you can't taste any of it. I was like just skipping meals. I was like, what's the point? Well, the point is like nutrition, though, and I'm like, well, I got a few more meals I can burn already. I think I'm good on the nutrition department. I'll take a multivitamin. So no, mine lasted. I lost my sense of taste and smell for a week. When Parker got it in the Papillion Service Center way at the beginning of the pandemic, he was down with his sense of smell and taste for over a month. But they've learned a little bit now. They've learned, number one, that supplementing with zinc is very helpful. So I bought some. I went to Target and got some zinc. Right, look at the vitamin aisle. It's not very deep. Try to buy Tylenol cold and sinus right now. Tell me there's not some like home remedy pandemic thing going on right now, right? I think lots of people have COVID, but no one's getting tested anymore because what's the point? You have COVID. You lose your sense of taste and smell. You're down on the couch for 2 days. That's what everybody else has had around you. They had COVID. You have COVID. So you take your Tylenol Sinus PM or whatever, and you take your cough suppressant, and you're good to go. Go to the store. Go to Walmart and try to buy Tylenol, like the AM PM box of like the cold and sinus. Nothing. Go to Hy-Vee and try to buy it. All you can get is Top Care, and they have it on special on Tuesdays. It's a BOGO on Tuesday, or buy one get one half off or something. So if you're going to buy cold medicine, do it on Tuesdays at Hy-Vee apparently. But they were completely sold out. Like literally, I got the regular daytime stuff, but the nighttime stuff was gone. So anyway, mine left for about a week. I supplemented with zinc, and then articles that I read online said basically taste training is something that you should do. You should taste things that would normally be intense. Hence, a bag of Sour Patch Kids. They're sweet and then they're very sour. And after about 3 days, I was like a little bit of like if I ate a Starburst. So my son loves Starburst, but he won't eat certain colors of them. So like an orange Starburst, I could chew it, and the texture was super like gross because without the taste, you just have the texture of a Starburst. It's like, why am I doing this? But I got like a little citrus ping on the back of my, like almost like an aftertaste. And I was like, okay, all right, things are getting good here. So it took about a week, but I got it back. Yes, the ivermectin or whatever. that was what they sent her. They sent Nana a prescription for that. So we got some, if you need it. I just noticed that your image is reversed. Yeah, it's a backwards kind of. It's backwards Sunday. Do you know that? You have to wear everything backwards today. All your logos and everything have to be backwards. Oh, let's see here. And media has hyped it up as equivalent to hemorrhagic fever. When you get mild symptoms, don't consider having it. That's a problem. You know, I'm glad to have had it, and hopefully I'm done with it now, right? I'm hoping that the people who say natural immunity, the CDC dropped numbers. 146 million people are believed to have had COVID in the United States and recovered. So if there is natural immunity, 146 million people, plus people like me, who the CDC says there's a lot of people who just don't report anymore. And they attribute that to home testing, like all these new home tests. The FDA just recalled those yesterday, by the way, or Friday. They were all false positives in the home tests. So if you have a home test that you took and it says you have COVID but you feel fine, it's probably a false positive. You know if you have COVID. I don't think there's any such thing as asymptomatic COVID. I don't think there is. Because everybody in our house, even little Lou got it. He was down for like a day where he was crabby and grumpy, and then he was fine after that. My son, who's 14, couple days, same thing. You know, he was back and fine. Katie, we kept her out of school for a day just because she gets kind of snotty. She's special needs, so she doesn't deal with drainage and everything very well. It makes her throw up. And then if she throws up at school, then they get all excited about it, and then they send her home for 2 days or whatever. So we proactively kept her home like on Monday, Tuesday. So she was out. She was off Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then she would seem to be better, so we sent her back to school. So yeah, the kids got over it really quick. Us adults, not so much. But it was definitely nothing I want to have again. That's for sure. It wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't anything to stop the country over. Not the current iteration, not what I had. Now, maybe other people have different strains or other people have pre-existing conditions and there's other factors involved. But I'm telling you, if my BMI is just on the line for obese. I'm 5'8" and 205, so I'm a little heavy, right? So I have a few meals I can burn, but I don't have any pre-existing health conditions. So if you're a relatively healthy individual, I can get on the treadmill and run 5 miles. I mean, if you're relatively healthy, you're not going to have a problem with COVID. You're going to get over it. Let's see. I buy toilet paper every time I order groceries or if I go to Walgreens. Yes, I'm hoarding it. I don't want to run out during a blizzard this winter. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Like if you couldn't wipe your butt in the middle of a blizzard, that'd be bad. Sounds like a business opportunity for domestic-based plastic molder. Well, the 3D printing is being used on oil refineries right now to replace parts that are wearing out because they can't get parts. So they're 3D printing the parts on site. It's pretty incredible, actually. All right. Okay, are there any good ETFs in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin? Okay, there's a lot of talk about Bitcoin ETFs. There was an ETF for Bitcoin futures that was just released. There are no Bitcoin ETFs. And what this comes down to is the Security and Exchange Commission can regulate futures. But because of the way Bitcoin is designed, it is physically impossible to regulate a Bitcoin. It can't be regulated. It can't be confiscated. It can't be taxed. It can't be taken. It can't be measured unless people want it to be measured. And of course, there's exceptions to all those things that I've said, of course. But for the most part, people who know what they're doing and people on Wall Street know what they're doing. The SEC is saying we can't have Bitcoin ETFs because Bitcoin is something that can't be regulated. So if we can't regulate it, it can't have an ETF. So that's why there's no Bitcoin, no ETFs backed by Bitcoin itself. With that said, you can get exposure to Bitcoin in a lot of places. I sold my Coinbase shares right before it tanked. Woohoo! I was literally like, you know what? It's. I don't know, guys. Is the market going to keep melting up? It's got to. I mean, if the market were to crash with everything else going on, holy Jimmy Carter, Batman! I mean, it's got to keep going up. So I think the Fed is going to do whatever they need to do to get it to go up. which is bad news for inflation, which I think is good news for crypto. So this week, Bitcoin popped, Ethereum popped. They both hit new all-time highs. And it was like, oh my gosh, look at it, it's going crazy. And then Bitcoin corrected all the way back down from like 69,000 all the way back down to 63 before it finally found some support and stabilized. Now, last time, before the radio show started, it was around 66, 67 this morning. So in the world of Bitcoin, those kind of fluctuations are completely normal. Like 30% is normal. You start getting around 50, 60%, then you get a little excited. Like when Bitcoin at the start of the pandemic dropped to $3,000 and $4,000, I bought one. Wish I'd have bought more, but I bought one Bitcoin. So I'm like, $4,000. I mean, come on. Bitcoin's $30,000 normally. This is going to come back. It's got to come back unless everybody dies in the pandemic because we didn't know. So I'm standing at the checkout lane at Hy-Vee and buying crypto. And I'm not alone. Like lots of individual people are beginning to realize. All right, for those of you who did my crypto call, we did a call just to talk about liquidity mining and what that is and how it works. And if anybody wants that, I can send you a link to it. But basically, in that call, I said, guys, here's this. My initial investment was $16,000. Like all in, all the money that I put in as I was doing trials, I incremented up. My total investment 1 month in was $16,000. Now I'm 3 months in, and I have more than doubled that. Not by putting more money in, by getting paid interest. And by the coins appreciating. Because the price of Bitcoin goes up, it pulls up all the crap coins behind it. So there, you are not too late to get in. Bitcoin's got room to run yet. Officially, my time to sell my Bitcoin number is 130,000. I should have it all sold at 130. I'll start selling around 90 and sell on the way up to 130. Because it will correct. There will be a 30% drop when it hits a new all-time high at 135, 140. Maybe I miss it and it goes to 150 and I'm like, ah. Well, then it's going to correct to 110. And then I'll be able to buy it all back. And I'll have extra coin, right? That's the whole point. So Bitcoin is definitely something that is not, could it go to zero? I don't think Bitcoin hasn't been zero since it was created. Let's put it that way. It's not going to go to zero. Can you lose money in crypto? Oh, heck yeah. You can lose a lot of money in crypto. Should you put your entire retirement savings into crypto when you're 78 years old? Not a good plan. No. If you are giving gifts for Christmas, should you give the gift of crypto? Only to people who understand it. Because if you're giving a 10-year-old a private wallet key saying, here's your $100 in Bitcoin, son, enjoy it, they're going to lose that scrap of paper because it's a scrap of paper. They don't understand. But as I pointed out last year, I mean, if you gave 100, we did this for a while, the first half of the year. Bitcoin was at like, what, 30 grand last December? Somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you gave somebody $100 in Bitcoin last year for Christmas, it's worth $200 now. Literally, get a 100% return on your bond. Get a 100% return on your savings account. Now, does that mean you can't lose money in crypto? Of course you can lose money in crypto. With that said, though, the decentralized finance is where the action is at. So if I was starting over from scratch today and I was buying cryptocurrency, first thing is I would not go out and buy a lot of it at one time. I would do dollar cost averaging. So I would say, what's my budget? Can I afford to do $50 a week or $50 a pay period in crypto? Then I would say, okay, I'm going to take that $50 a week and I'm going to buy like $10 worth of Bitcoin and I'm going to buy $40 worth of Ethereum. I think Ethereum has more long-term upside potential than Bitcoin does. And by that, what do I mean? Is Ethereum ever going to be $100,000 a coin? I don't know about that. But could Ethereum go from 4,000 to 8,000? Could it double? Yes, absolutely. Could Bitcoin double from 70,000 to 140? Maybe. It could. It's not likely. Not 140, 135. Like literally, Bitcoin is supposed to be in around the $100,000 range until like 2024, according to Plan B, who does the stock to flow model. And at that point, it's supposed to go, after the halving, it's supposed to go parabolic to $1 million a coin. So definitely, I'm going to have some coin when that time comes. So I may buy and sell in the meantime. But if I was starting over from scratch, I would do 10% Bitcoin, 90% Ethereum, because I think that's where you're going to get your biggest short-term return. And that's really what gets you excited when you open your wallet up, you open your Coinbase wallet, and this morning you had $50, and at dinner time you have 60, and you're like, oh, that's cool, right? And then you keep doing this for a while, and then all of a sudden, at breakfast time you have $20,000, and at dinner time you have $27,000, and you think that's a hard day's work. And of course, it goes the other way. The next day you wake up and you have 22,000 again. So it's a roller coaster. You have to be ready for that roller coaster ride. But my personal thought here is that Thorstradamus' estimate of an $80,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year might be a little low, honestly. I think that Bitcoin is going to definitely hit 80,000 this month, and that next month it's either going to hold that number or it's going to go close to 100. I don't think 135 is in the cards this year. It would have to be we'd have to have a hell of a bull run for that to happen. There'd have to be some kind of cataclysmic inflation. If there is a stock market crash, it is going to pull the price of Bitcoin down as well, because stock traders will have to cover margins, and they will sell whatever assets they have to raise capital to cover margins, which means they're going to sell their Bitcoin, which is going to have a deflationary price impact on Bitcoin. So it's a good idea to have some cash on hand when you see those dips. So you have your pre-programmed buy, whether that's $50 every 2 weeks, $100 every 2 weeks, whatever it is. That's your you can do this all on Coinbase automatically. It automatically will buy that amount from your bank account on a schedule. Then you have your cash that's set aside for your what's it called, like your flash crash opportunity, right? When Bitcoin drops to $4,000 and you're like, I buy one. You have that money set aside for that, and you hang on to it. So it's just a savings account. You just hold on to it. Or if you want to get creative, you can go open yourself up a BlockFi account, take that money, turn it into USDC, which is called a stable coin. That it's matched dollar to dollar, right? So if the value of the dollar goes down, the value of a stable coin supposedly goes down too, right? Which is represented by the price of a Bitcoin going up, by the way. The stable coin is always one-to-one relationship, except BlockFi is now paying 9% interest on stablecoin deposits up to $40,000. After $40,000, it does go down a bit to 8%. Oh, did I mention it compounds monthly too? So you want to beat month-over-month inflation? You can do it in a BlockFi account. Interest-bearing account. That's as safe as crypto gets. Stablecoin in an interest-bearing account. So if you have money that you're setting aside or saving, like I've got a vacation fund that we set aside before COVID because we were going to take the whole family to Disney. Well, obviously life. So I took that money and I deposited it at BlockFi because my wife wants me to hang on to it. So we'll go to Disney when everything calms down again. But in the meantime, it's earned $360 this year in a BlockFi account just chilling out. Has your $10,000 deposit earned $360 in your savings account? It's a good return. I mean, it's definitely not doubling like Bitcoin, but if it's a good place to park capital if you need a place to park capital. Alrighty. Oh, and of all the stupid things, I ended up buying like $300 worth of what's that junk coin? Of Shiba Inu. Inu. It's a dog. I don't know. Anyway, because everybody at work, all the guys were talking about it. And I'm like, I don't see a use case for this coin. I don't think this coin is anything spectacular. But everybody I know is talking about it. All the youngins are talking about it. And it gets me thinking, greater fools, right? So I buy $300 worth of this coin. It is now worth $1,700. I sold 300 of it. I got my capital back, a little Buffett model there. But now I've just got, $1,400 of SHIB sitting there. I have 36 million SHIB just sitting there. And I'm like, if this ever goes to a penny, 36 million pennies, I've done the math. It's like $300,000. So buy your penny stock crypto. It's the penny stock crypto hour. Alrighty. Let's make sure there's no more here. I'm going to have to wrap this one up, guys, because I got to watch kiddos because the lovely Kimberly's putting up trees. A question regarding liquidity mining. Where is your tax liability incurred? Okay, so liquidity mining requires you to purchase. Now, I'm not an accountant. First of all, let me. This is my understanding of it. You talk to your accountant. But so when you do liquidity mining, what you're doing is when people want to go to a cryptocurrency exchange and they want to buy and sell Bitcoin, for example, there's a fee that the exchange imposes on the person. There are so many coins now that it's impossible for the exchange to have enough capital to properly capitalize all of those trading opportunities. The more coins they have, the more fees they make, right? So they charge a fee, the maker and the taker fee. And when you do liquidity mining, I go in and I buy, let's say I buy $100 of Bitcoin and $100 of stable coin, like Tether. And I put those into liquidity mining. I've now given Gate.io, the exchange, $200 of my money to use for capital for funding transactions for Bitcoin. So when the buyers and the sellers are just a little bit apart and there's no action happening, my capital makes things happen, right? Makes a trade happen. And then happens again. And so in theory, these things should stay pretty much here, right? They may bounce back and forth, but my capital shouldn't depreciate significantly. In the meantime, all these trades that are happening that I'm helping with, I get a little piece of the fee from those trades. And so that's the interest income that you're getting. So you have a tax liability whenever you change a cryptocurrency into something else, or when you move it from one wallet to another, depending on what accountant you talk to. So if you leave it alone and don't touch it, you do not incur tax liability on the crypto. However, when you get paid your rewards, the fees, they're paid in the form of gate tokens, right? What's a gate token? It's the special coin for the Gate.io exchange. Nobody wants gate tokens. They're not worth anything, right? Well, they're worth something because people are getting them and selling them, so there's a market for them. So the first thing I do every day, I get up in the morning, I take my gate tokens, and I sell them for Tether. I have now incurred a tax liability on that $100, $140, $200, $700, whatever that day's fees were that came in. Some days I was earning as much as $700. Some days it's as low as $110. But that's income, right? So I'm getting that, and then I'm changing that into another coin. So I've sold my crypto at that point. And now I have a tax liability. So then I'm going to take that crypto and I want to put it back into the liquidity mining, right? So I'm flipping it, right? I'm just taking the money that I'm being paid in interest and putting it into the principal so I earn more interest the next day. The idea here is if I can double every 2 months, I'm a year away from $1 million Gate.io account with a $16,000 initial investment. Wow. Let's do it. Let's see if we can do it. Why not, right? So I'm putting it back in and flipping it. Well, then you have to buy whatever coin you're providing liquidity for, you have to buy that coin. So now you're changing your Tether into a coin. You have another taxable liability there. So whenever you trade crypto, you have a tax liability. Sometimes crypto goes up and appreciates. Sometimes it goes down and depreciates. You can play the game a little bit by making sure if you have a lot of gains and you have one coin that's a complete dog that you bought like way up here and then it dropped way down here, you sell all that coin, then you buy it back immediately. You've just booked a loss. You still have the coin, but you booked a loss, and you can use that for tax purposes. So there is a tax planning element involved. If you're going to get into this big time, you definitely need to have an accountant working with you on it. But in the meantime, it's nice because everything's on the blockchain. So it's not like you have to sit here and keep records, right? Everything's on the blockchain. So when it comes time to do your taxes, you just run a report. And it says, these are all your buys, these are all your sells, this is all your interest income. And there you go. BlockFi is going to send you an interest statement just like a bank. This is your interest statement. There you go. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, actually. I don't know. I haven't worked with Gate.io through a tax season yet, so I don't know if they actually report. But I'm of the opinion, especially given the current IRS environment, that you really, really, really need to be careful with crypto. Very careful. Error on the side of paying too much in taxes. You have the opportunity to make absolute wheelbarrows full of money. Don't skimp on the taxes because it will come back and get you because they're hiring like 80,000 IRS agents. Who do you think they're going after? They're not going after Warren Buffett. I'll tell you that. So anyway, let me see if I can get that link it'll save me some time if I get that link here and post it here rather than emailing everybody back with it. Let's see. There it is. Oh, there's a passcode. I sent somebody the link the other day and not the passcode. Now I feel like a jerk. Here's the link. There we go. So there's the link and the passcode. So that's the link to the Zoom call. You can watch it there. It went about an hour and a half. It's a pretty long call, and it's actual screenshots of my Gate.io account. I mean, nothing's blurred or anything weird like that. You know, some people have a lot more money invested than me, and some people have a lot less. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that percentage gains are percentage gains, right? So if $50 is a lot of money to you and you double it, well, you made a lot of money. And if $16,000 is a lot of money to you and you double it, well, you made a lot of money. So there you go. All right, last call for questions, guys, because I got to wrap it up. I got to get home so the lovely Kimberly can get off to the Lincoln Service Center and put up a Christmas tree. She's going to put her earbuds in because it really bothers her when people come in and they're like, a little early for a Christmas tree, isn't it? Not even Thanksgiving yet. She's like, I'm doing 5 trees, man. If I wait till Thanksgiving to put them up, by the time all the trees are up, they'll be taking them down. So cut me some slack. We're putting up the trees. So and then so we have some employees who've never seen a Christmas at Schrock before. They don't know that we put up trees and decorate. They don't know that we do holiday bonuses and things like that at the end of the year. So if they watch the After Schrock, they do now. But we don't tell them anything like that. We just let it be a surprise on their check. And then I keep track up here. Who says thank you? You'd be amazed how many people don't say thank you. Like they just get a bonus, like a significant bonus, like $500,000 bonus on a paycheck they weren't expecting, and they don't even say thank you. And you're just like, you know, the people who appreciate it. You find out real quick. Send 200 stars to see your comment here. Are they really? This is how this star thing is going to work? Send 200 stars to see your comment here. Do you have to pay to comment? Creators they love, they'll get a penny for every star they receive. And Facebook wants, how much do the stars cost? 75 stars for $1. So Facebook is making 25% on every star that gets sent to somebody. That is so weird. I don't know. Meta, right? All right. I would have a party with your employees and decorate the tree together. Well, you'd be surprised. Number one, parties are very difficult for us. We have to close. We're open 7 days a week. We're open till 8 at night. So if we want to have a holiday party, we got to close. Like we closed early for Halloween party. We closed at 4 o'clock. The second thing is you'd be surprised how many kids don't want to decorate trees. They don't really care. It's hilarious when I make them listen to Christmas music, though, in the back. Pentatonics has a new Christmas album out, and so I was listening to that in the back room the other day, and the guys came in, they're like, what is this? This is kind of neat. What is it? I'm like, it's Pentatonics. It's like, you should listen to it. It's a cappella stuff. So anyway, good stuffs. Yes, you can comment for free, but apparently there is a special featured comment area that you can post your comment to, so it stays fixed to the bottom of my screen and captures my attention. And for 200 stars, you can put your comment there. This is so stupid. So you can comment for free, and then it goes up into the feed. Like here, I almost missed Aaron wishing me a happy Thanksgiving, because the feed, think about it, like we only have, 50 people watching? Imagine we had like 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people watching, and the feed is just flying, right? So you don't really, as if you're doing the show, you can't look at the feed and pull comments, right? But if somebody pays 200 stars to have their comment featured at the bottom, then I can see it, then I can interact with you, so you get like special attention. But you see, we're small enough family here, I can give all my children special attention. I don't know what it's been lately. My 3-year-old son has been a three-nager. He's been so needy. Like, Daddy, sit with me. Daddy, hug me. Daddy, do this. I'm like, you'd think I was ignoring the kid or something. And, Daddy, what you doing? I'm sitting on the couch with you. Why? Because you asked me to. Why? Because I love you. Why? Because I have to, all right? No, stop asking why. He's in the Y age. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. I hope. I think I'll talk to you all before Thanksgiving, won't I? Yeah, we have one more show before Thanksgiving, so I'll be able to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving next Sunday. But if I don't see you between now and then, happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you all again next week. Have a great day.